I'll go over here. Let's see here. Okay, not yet. Is it what? There it is. Okay. All right. Okay. Welcome everyone to episode 856. Man, we are creeping up there. The Black Brain Trust. This is the Sapio-Females Guide to the Galaxy. Miss Real Life, what are we going to talk about this evening?
Hey, Complex. What's up, everybody? We're talking about infatuation.
Oh my. Okay, infatuation. That's a topic we've touched on before, but I felt as though revisiting it would do it more justice because it was just me talking, and what the hell do I know, right? No, I'm joking. But down in the description, I have the little definition there, right? And it is defined as an intense but short-lived passion or admiration for someone or something.
Mhm.
So I guess what, like, infatuation doesn't necessarily have to be limited to, say, a person. I mean, I
Right?
think I think
Right?
we'll probably that'll more or less be what we're talking about, but we'll draw, I guess, references to other things you could be
hmm
infatuated with, right?
Definitely.
What's your
So,
thoughts?
it's funny because when I first heard this word, I remember it very clearly. I was in grade school. In grade school, I was in elementary school, and I remember thinking. So the Rod Stewart song "Infatuation," right? So that
Yeah.
right, right. So that's how I heard the word, and so I'm thinking, the song was kind of jazzy, so I was like, okay. And then that's when I discovered what it meant. And it was very fascinating to me because it's very different from like loving, caring, being in love, or anything like that. But I think a lot of people are getting into relationships based on infatuation, and then that that might not be a safe road, right? Because you can have a dream about somebody become infatuated. It happened to me in junior high
Hmm.
school. I did not like this guy at all. I liked his friend actually, but my friend liked him, right?
Hmm.
And she was always talking about him. He was cool, whatever. I just never saw him that way. And I had this dream about him. It wasn't anything too like salacious or anything, but in the dream, we were like in love. It was so strange.
Huh.
And for like 2 solid days, I had a really strong crush on him. It was like a chemical thing had happened, right?
Hmm.
Because mentally, I didn't really like him like that. So it's really funny. And that let me that was in junior high when that happened, so that really let me know, like, you can think you like someone but it doesn't really mean much. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because there's nothing that really has to come of a situation of infatuation. It can just be that short-lived feeling. You can keep it moving, right?
Hmm.
And but like I said, if people jump into something with that, like let's say I acted on that crush, and I'm like, what we do back in the day, hey, ask him what he thinks about me or whatever. Like, what if, like, what if I went through with that? Like, that'd have been strange. So, I think it's just the kind of something you kind of realize as a kid is the basis of why you like people, maybe, and then it kind of develops and evolves into something else.
Right.
But
I think there's like oh, and by the way, does the sound okay?
yeah, I don't hear any. I hear
Really?
fireworks. I hear fireworks.
You hear fireworks.
Yeah, I heard like.
Yeah, now what about now? You hear any music? Or is it low?
Okay, I hear it is low, but I hear it. It sounds okay. He
Okay.
says, Spawn, hi Spawn. He says he doesn't hear music, but sound is good.
Yeah, I was trying to do a little sound check.
I hear
Uh
it though, but I had to like look for it.
Gotcha. Okay.
I just noticed that was Spawn's avatar.
Yeah, the ghost
Y'all are
thing.
wild as
Yeah.
fuck.
uh, okay. Well, we'll deal with it. I'll do a sound. I'll check it on my phone here in just a
It's
second.
always better too low than too loud.
Yeah. No, that's what I mean. I just want to make sure it sounds right. Um,
Excuse me, I'm getting over something, so I'm probably cough a little bit on and on.
no, you're all good. So that infatuation thing, right?
Mhm.
I tend to have experienced it more with like things,
Hmm.
right? With things and not so much people. That's just
Like what
strange.
kinds of things?
Just stuff, dude. Like I'll have like a um, let's say, for example, I can. So like on YouTube, I'll just do like a real kind of recent sort of infatuation I had. You remember slot cars, the little slot cars
Uh-uh.
with the race car tracks?
Oh yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, like slot cars, right? You
I
put the
never
little
heard that
cars there.
term from though. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So like that's what the term of it was slot car. And so there's like a resurgence of slot car racing.
Mhm.
They just opened up like this indoor slot car facility in Pasadena, if I'm not mistaken.
That's cool.
Hmm. And then there's it's a whole hobby, and people like build their own cars and everything.
Hmm.
And I swear to God, for maybe like a solid 2 to 3 weeks, I was literally just slot card out.
Hmm.
Maybe kind of like reliving my childhood a little bit. I had a bunch of race car tracks, little slot car
Hmm.
tracks and stuff, and
Hmm.
these are dudes that are my age and older, and they're still like they're building these super fast drag racing slot cars and stuff, and I'm like, I want to do that, you know.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so yeah, I went down this rabbit hole of slot cars. Now, was it short lived?
I
No,
was just about
because
to ask you. Hmm.
yeah, because no, it's more like a thing now where it's sort of a passing interest. I keep kind of checking stuff out every now and again, but
So is that infatuation?
I mean, I think so because it came on kind of strong.
Hmm.
Like it was something that kind of triggered a memory, maybe. Like when you were talking, it was a dream,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then
And
all
like
of a
some weird
sudden,
chemical stuff happens with that, you
yeah.
know?
And see, so for me, it was more of a memory type of thing that it triggered. And then all of a sudden, I was just like, dude, slot cars. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I'm over here like, man, maybe I should tinker around with one, get one, a little kit. And, I really started thinking about it.
I
Now,
feel
I
like
didn't,
oh yes, go ahead.
no, I was just saying, I didn't buy it. And I think
Mhm.
that's more or less evidence of the infatuation. Because I buy it, and then what am I going to do?
Gotcha.
You
I
know?
feel like that short-lived part is really important though in the definition. Because like when we're just talking about it generally, like just in normal everyday situations, we probably are thinking of that, but maybe not, right? Definitely thinking of the intensity
Hmm.
and definitely thinking of the passion, right? And I guess the admiration, right? But the short-lived part, I think that's kind of something to zone in on. But let's take the other part. So maybe like infatuation might be necessary to some extent. Like, you know how certain things in one area of the continuum it's pathological, right? But then if you look at it in the other way, it could be some like a benefit, like anger, right? Anger
Hmm.
can prompt you to do a lot of things great in your life, you know what I mean, in society and other people's lives. But obviously there's something else it can do as well if it's misdirected, or stifled. But so to create a goal, to realize a goal, you have to be obsessed, right? So
Yes.
where's the line between obsession and infatuation? Because if we take the short-lived out, then it matches in there really well. But once we throw that short-lived in there, I think I still can match it though, because there are like steps to anything you do. So let's say the first couple steps might be the getting the materials that you need to do whatever it
Hmm.
is you're doing, and you're obsessed with that. A person's obsessed with it. They're like shopping on all the sites, looking at every single thing, and then that part is over, right? They've gotten the supplies and they move on to the next step. That could
Hmm.
kind of be infatuation, the obsession of each part of realizing a goal. In
Yeah.
this case it would not be pathological, right? It'd be something good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little easier to kind of define it when we're talking about things,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's kind of why it was like for me, the first thing that came to my mind was like, okay, what was the last thing I kind of really was like, oh wow, right? And it was the slot car thing. Um, but I've always found my infatuations to be things, not so much people.
So
Um,
have you ever been infatuated with the person at least once?
um, um, what a There's a this is gonna sound weird. Would a celebrity crush? Would a celebrity crush be that?
Yeah,
It
that
would.
definitely would be included. Absolutely.
Okay, so all right. I've said this before. It was like years ago, right? I remember I told Game Changer about this man, and he like ribbed the hell out of me for it. He'll still do it if he hears this. But I did have, I guess you can say, an infatuation with somebody. Um, do you know who Bianca Lawson is? Actress.
Uh-uh.
Okay, she's the daughter of Richard Lawson. I guess Beyonce's mom's now ex-husband.
Okay, I can see his face. I don't know why I can see his face, but I can see his face. He's
Yeah,
kind of
he's
like a bootleg Richard Roundtree.
kind of or like a no bootleg a bootleg what's his name? The Colt 45 dude,
Billy D. Williams.
Billy D. Williams. Yeah, he was kind of like a Billy.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, I can see him now. Yeah, yeah, I
you
know who
see
you're
what I'm?
talking
Yeah,
about.
you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, yes.
hmm Yeah, my mom had a big ass crush on him and shit.
Isn't that funny? Your mom had a crush on the dad, and then you have a crush on the daughter. That's funny.
That's bizarre and funny
It
at
is.
the same time. But I used to live by her, and so I would run into her all the time, like just at like the grocery store, movies, just wherever, right?
Mhm.
I mean, times that like I used to live by a Tower Music when Tower Records was around back
I
then.
remember very well. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like there would be times, dude. I used to like I was like a music geek, so I'd go in there. I'd just be like in the magazine sections, reading magazines, and getting little CDs and here and there, whatever, right? And man, she would just be in there by herself, like just thumbing through shit, looking at stuff, and I'm like, damn, I keep running into you. You know what I mean? Like, is something telling me to? And if for a minute, it was like, yeah, I did have this little maybe like infatuation with her. It was maybe for just for some time because we lived close, and I would always run into her, and it was
Right.
just like,
Right.
dude, say something. And
If you didn't run into her, would it have still been that?
well, I remember because nowadays we have like media overload, right? Like
Yeah.
your favorite actor, actress, or just whoever, right? As long as their name is trending or whatever, you're going to see them. You're going to see about them. You're going to hear about them. Your social media feed is going to be filled up with faces nowadays. Whereas before all of this, it wasn't like that, man. Like if you saw people, you saw people. If they had a project going on, they did their media, whatchamacallit, where they just go on the press junkets and everything,
Mhm.
and then they go on about their lives after that, right?
Mhm.
So, people back then still had, even though they had a media presence, they still had a level of privacy that we
Mhm.
kind of don't have today, right?
Mhm.
So there was, I guess, mystery to it because I don't know, other people seem to have not recognized her.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But for me, I it used to fuck with me. I'd be like, dude, you just ran into her again, bro. Why didn't you say something? Like for real, dude. It
So
would
did
fuck
you
with
ever
me.
end up saying anything?
Hell no.
Oh,
No.
so why not?
Um. Um. Cause you know what?
What?
Like for real, dude. Um. I've always had this thing where it's just kind of like if you're like I guess if you're doing something where you're known or something, then you're gonna be with somebody that's known also. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I
I
know
don't
what you're
know.
saying, but not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily work that way at
It
all.
it doesn't, and this is showing my immaturity at the time, right?
Not really.
So
I mean, I get the thought process. You know.
yeah, but there's more nuance to it.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what if she would have dug what I was doing at the time with the music shit,
Exactly.
right?
Because
But
they always fan over people doing dope stuff in real life that doesn't just be like involve tap dancing in front of a camera.
right,
Because like what they're doing is, I mean, I'm not dissing it. I think art, any type of art, is dope, right? But there's something else going on there. It's a different story. But it's like, I mean, if they're going to admire musicians, doctors, anybody doing something like actually
mhm.
something. No diss to actors, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing, right? How I perceived it at the time, anyway. Um, who knows, dude? I
Right,
mean,
Alonzo?
I don't know. It's not as if I think I'm ugly or something. Like, I don't. I just think. I guess there maybe was some intimidation thing or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it sounds like it, but that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, you know
Yeah.
what I mean. But yeah, that was a time though. I can honestly say, yeah, if I was infatuated, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the celebrity infatuations, that's definitely something. Like I remember when I was 11, like I had such a serious crush on someone, right? Like
Hmm.
serious, and it was hard. Like, you know, those magazines. I don't know that guys really involve themselves with those magazines, but you know, the girls had these magazines like, you know, Teen Beat and all them stuff, right? So like I remember seeing him with his arm around Frank Zappa's daughter, Lala Zappa, and yo, I was like, it was the first time like I felt that feeling of forlornness. I remember where I was.
Hmm.
I was like 10, maybe actually. I might have been just about turning 11. I remember where I was in my grandmother's kitchen when I looked at the picture, and I just felt so solemn. And I remember thinking, man, you know, of course, it's kind of like borderline what you were saying, you know, about the girl Lawson and her lifestyle, whatever. Because I was
Yeah.
thinking, of course, it makes sense he's going to be with Frank Zappa's daughter, because even though Frank Zappa's a weirdo, at the time as a kid, you know, he seems like this older, cool musician. Even though I'm not into him, so to me, it seemed like this whole world. Of course, it made sense that he was with her, and I just was thinking so many things. And I think it was valuable because that if I hadn't experienced that deep infatuation, I wouldn't have had to really seriously think about how upset can I be about a situation that I'm not involved in, right? Like him having his arm around her is not in any way going to change in any way, shape, or form because of whatever I'm doing. Like if we knew each other, that'd be different. Like if you went to my school or something. So it just seemed like to me like weird. It became weird to have a crush on someone that I didn't know. Even though
That,
I did afterwards, it just I remember feeling that, like really understanding, like I don't know this person. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
that's
Yeah.
what I was gonna ask you. I mean, like, is there some maybe I should have dug up something else just to kind of. Well, no, no, no. Fuck that. We don't have to do all that. I'll just ask you. So, um, is there some sort of unresolved, or is there kind of like a misunderstood? Is there a mis? Is it a is the basis of this like a misunderstood feeling or emotion?
It's
Like
interesting.
why the irrational response?
Right. And why so much fervor? That's a really good question. Let me think. I think part of it must be that chemical stuff that we were talking about before, because it just seems so stark. Like
Hmm.
the same difference as if you took a bunch of herbs, how you'd feel so different, right? Like, I mean, so something chemically is going on. And I think maybe like, so if you feed something to your subconscious, right?
Hmm.
You know, there are different arguments as to how that's read differently from how the conscious mind reads stuff. So maybe there's like this huge romanticism involved in like this huge, like, you know, like, oh, it's so perfect, right? And then because that's so unreal, that's so bullshit. So maybe there's something just in the wisdom of life that just knocks persons over the head and say, yo, wake up. Like, this is not real.
Right.
So so the direct answer to your question would be, I think, yeah. I never
Hmm.
really thought about it that way, but I
I
would say
mean, because I used to. No, I'm serious, dude. Like when you asked the question, like my first thought was to talk about things.
mm-hmm,
Because like I said, I've always experienced. I've always been infatuated with things, objects. You
right.
know what I'm saying? Um, but when it comes to people, uh, or let's just say, to kind of be more succinct, like let's just say like women, right? In my view, or in my case, right? Um, yeah, that like, just kind of thinking back to that time, I couldn't I couldn't make heads or tails of it myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was like, okay, is there some sort of, I don't know, where maybe like the neural pathways aren't quite crossing, right, in terms of like the the different areas of the brain that are trying to like link together a feeling or an emotion,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they're not quite there, so it kind of manifests in this weird sort of expression.
Maybe, yeah, because the gaps filled in, right? Like if like
Yeah.
it was infatuations, like we're not thinking of like them as an actual person. Let's talk about the
Is it
celebrity.
an idea, maybe?
Yes, exactly. And so that's where that extra romanticization, I would say, comes into it, you know.
Hmm.
And that's and there goes the other part about the world wisdom just kind of being like, wake up, you know.
Hmm.
But there, not that there's anything wrong with infatuation, right? But just the idea of like it being, because if something's short-lived, right? Like I'm gonna keep harping on that,
Hmm.
then but has so much passion, right? There's got to be some sort of disconnect there, or some sort of a something not adding up together, right? And that would have to be the lack of reality, the lack of realism, right? And of course, we can see it easily in the celebrity thing, but in other situations, I don't know. When you think about it in things, I don't think that really comes into play. But maybe because
you experience it way different. I just, if I were to contrast the two, right? Bianca Lawson and slot cars. But just contrast the two. I mean, the slot car one I can make heads or tails of, right? I can make heads or tails of that one. When it came to a person though, yeah, that one messed with me. It did. I don't know why. It wasn't like it, dude. It just for y'all listening, I wasn't on no obsession or stalker shit. It wasn't.
That's why you kept bumping into her, y'all.
Yeah, don't get it fucked up. Like, it's just that we lived in close proximity, and typically I used to skate everywhere. Like, I had a car, but
he'd be rolling by behind the bushes and stuff.
Don't. Everybody could be all looking at that guy, that avatar right there, with a little head behind the bushes or some shit. But no, it was just like, dude, say something. You know what I mean? And it's like I didn't. Then I go home and it's like, what the fuck, dude? Why didn't you say something? And then it would bug the shit out of me. And then I'm like, dude, I'm having this like internal dialogue where I'm kind of like, hey man, cool your jets, dude. Like part of me is just like, dude, chill. The other part of me is just like, what the fuck? Why didn't you holler? And there was like really no reason. I'm like, okay. I'm trying to like rationalize what the fuck's going on in my head right now. It's just like, dude, she's just like every other chick you see who's an actress or whatever, and you see them out in public or whatever, you don't think anything of them, and it's like, well, yeah, but that's Bianca Lawson though. And then it's just like, okay, but so what's up with her? And it's like, motherfucker, find out, right? And I never found out.
And it's funny too, because in your scenario, you had to see her, right? It wasn't like you saw her in her situation of acting and we're like, wow, there's something I can see. Like, that's always what it's been for me. There's always been some subtlety that I didn't notice, right? And so let's take Rowdy Piper, for example.
Wait, you spawn your answer, bro? No, I did not, man. I did not.
So I used to really hate him. I was into wrestling for like a year and a half, huge. I was 9, right? And I used to hate Rowdy Piper so much. It was kind of weird because I didn't have any. I mean, yeah, he wasn't that likable at first, but I didn't have any reason to dislike him so much because there were other people, like Bobby Heenan and stuff, that were so much worse in terms of personality.
It was probably the coke.
What happened?
I mean, rest in peace to him. It was probably the cocaine.
Well, yeah, and other stuff. But then all of a sudden, one day, he was stomping around the ring like he always did. And something was so natural and cool about it. And all of a sudden, I was like, I like this guy. He's cool. Not like a crush. I just thought he was cool as fuck. Now, what happens there? Because I thought he became like my favorite wrestler other than Bret the Hitman Hart. So I'm trying to think, what happened there? Because, people do say there's a thin line between love and hate. And I've had a hard time with this sometimes. Not so much now because I get the context of when they're saying it. But literally, there might be, though, because there was such a deep dislike there. There's something else was going on. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, okay. And I've had that happen with people before, both in real life and then, like, just observing people that I'm like, ugh. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay. And so, first impressions usually are solid, but in that type of situation, it's not. It's kind of like an infatuation thing because it's a strong feeling. It has a lot of passion involved. It's short-lived, right? And it's for someone. But so that's kind of interesting how that happens. I just thought about that. But I was saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I wanted to touch on what you were saying, that thin line part.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish up though, and I'll follow up on that.
Okay, so I was saying with your situation, it was like your proximity, and then it was like it became that, and every single thing I could think of with me, it was like something just shifted or something like I didn't notice them, and then I did because of something very like nondescript, maybe something small that they said or did, right? So that's kind of interesting. Like something clicked, but yeah, go ahead.
No, okay, so there's a thing. Mike hit me to this some time ago. It's called an identity quake. Okay, like so like if you see somebody and then you have like a preconceived thought of them, right? Never spoke to this person, never met them, but just visually looking at them, you've already kind of like wrote the book on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they open their mouth and you talk to them, and then you're like, actually, this dude's pretty cool. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
that dude's an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that chick is very sweet. She's very kind. I thought she'd be a total bitch. You know what I mean? Like when your perception flips upon
Mm-hmm.
the actual interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, Mike was saying that's called an identity quake, where you have to like literally reorient your whole perception of a person based on your own preconceived notions,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? They totally juxtapose what you thought. And I think that's kind of what you were speaking to with the whole Roddy Piper thing.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And, or just like in some maybe other scenarios where um, you might have felt some kind of way about a person for some reason, and then actually after you interacted with them, they're like, oh, they're cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think that oftentimes happens. We'll kind of maybe put a composite of a person together in our heads
Mm-hmm.
without really um, vetting it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You don't really vet it. Look, I'll tell you, I've been guilty of that plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like framing a person a certain way, and then coming to find out they actually knew something about something. They had like some knowledge about some shit. And
Mm-hmm.
so, one of the things that really does shape your perception of a person is when um, they display a knowledge, because what that also shows is that, okay, well, this person doesn't just know this for no reason,
Mm-hmm.
right? See, so then you can start to surmise that they've done some reading, they have some interest that's pointed them to that,
Mm-hmm.
they have some thoughts about it, they have some feelings about it, and so you could put more of a true composite together about that person when you actually interact.
Mm-hmm.
And I think kind of goes back to maybe this idea that infatuation is really kind of like
No.
it's almost like
No.
it's the idea. It's kind of like falling for the idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely. And ideas are never reality, like never.
Right.
And here's where people get tripped up in actual relationships, right? Like usually we figure this out after we become, after some years. Your kids, it could be one thing like, oh, I don't like him anymore. Or that would happen to me a lot, like some small thing. But that's really because I didn't like him that much to begin with. Like if I really liked the person, I noticed that didn't happen.
Hmm.
And the real it did feel sometimes like infatuation in terms of the butterfly thing, but it felt better than infatuation because of reality. With infatuation you can get disappointed, or with any romanticization of something you can get disappointed. And I think we're geared, American culture gears us towards thinking about things like that. You know what I mean? It's something so great or it's so terrible, this polarized thinking. And these decisions that we're kind of forced to mentally make for ourselves and about our opinions about things before we're ready to, right? And that can work both ways. It can work in terms of, prejudging things, but also in that infatuation thing and just kind of like plugging in all these gaps, like I was saying before about how great something would be. And this is where people say, oh, the what's that thing? The honeymoon period is over.
Oh
That
yeah.
bothered me too, because the longer I know someone, if I still am around, the more I like them, right? Like as a person, however that works.
Hmm.
If I like them less, then I'm going to be around them less and it won't build to anything. This is in any
Yeah.
type of situation. So in a romantic situation, of course, like you get to know the person more. You can check off things and say, okay, good, I know this is not true or whatever. Like that feels much better than the infatuation framework where all of that it's always going to be set up for disappointment. And hence where I think a lot of people are so disenchanted.
I was gonna say, I think that's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think infatuation is something that's not talked about enough.
What are you
Because
doing?
is that the pupper?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right, Pepper. Uh, you know,
Don't say her name on here. People are
no,
fucking
no,
weird. Thank you.
you know, I think that a lot of people they act on infatuation, right?
Definitely.
And I think it's that's sort of like let's do a little math equation. All right. So attraction minus vetting equals infatuation.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
I think that's what gets like you were saying. I think that's what gets people. Wait, let me type that out.
Okay.
Just so we have that on record.
Yeah, it
Um,
works. Yep.
yeah. You know, but I think that's what leads to a lot of the relationship issues that people have
Definitely.
is that they were infatuated with someone.
Yep.
They were infatuated with each other, and when they call you, what they say the honeymoon period,
Mm-hmm.
they say that wears off, and that's really the vetting taking place, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Now that you're in close proximity and you're just around this person all the time, that it's not the feeling that wears off.
No.
It's the realization that this person is full of fucking flaws, just like you are.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what that is. And the I used to say, well, it'll probably be about maybe a good solid year before you get to know somebody. I've since upped that to like at least 2.
Oh man,
Um,
yeah, I was gonna say I think it's longer.
yeah, yeah. And and the thing is like certain things about if you really like someone, certain things that maybe aren't as comfortable are not really gonna make you not like them, right? I guess it depends on what it is, but with infatuation, like any little thing, because like I said, it's like this person's now walking on water for no reason. But it's a very childish feeling, I think, and that makes sense because now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even remember the last time I had that feeling, and then I remember someone telling me about some actor, that guy Jason Momoa, right? As if
Mhm.
he's like walking on water. I'm like, he's just a person. Like, calm down. And like that feeling right there, it's like to me, it seems so immature. Like if she knew
Yeah.
him, I wouldn't have said that. Like you're supposed to feel that. You can definitely be into somebody like that if you like him and know him. But this random dude. So
Yeah, it's on some random shit. It's like
right.
how do you really fall for how do you and that's another word, falling,
Mm-hmm.
right? That maybe we can circle back to that one, falling. But like how do you just sort of well there you go, attraction minus vetting. It's really just attraction and the thought of someone. It's the
Mm-hmm.
idea.
And what the person's life would be with that person, you know. Because I think there's a direct correlation between nah. I was gonna say something, but I don't think I fully agree with that, so let me not say that. But definitely the first part.
Mhm. Hmm. Oh,
Now, what about like so let's take it to YouTube for a second. We always gotta do
okay.
that. So
All right.
there have been several times where I've felt that exactly what we just described, like someone says something or whatever, and like it strikes something in someone and they become very attached. I've experienced that several times on YouTube, meaning someone having that feeling for me. And I will call it an infatuation because it's intense, right? And then all the other stuff. So, and I'm sure because of a couple of things I've heard some people say, I'm like, wow, it was just literally one thing that they zoned in on that I said or did, how I handled something or something, and then it turned into this whole thing. So if one small thing happened that didn't make them feel good from me, then there's an attack, or there's some sort of like lash out, like, oh, this bitch, or it's like, what the hell did I do to you? Like, I don't even know you like that. Like, who are you? And then you find out it's some weird thing. And I brought this situation up several times, but there was
You
one
shattered my dreams.
right.
Like you did something that literally went against my idea of you.
And it could be something so stupid, like she didn't say hi to me. And I'm thinking of a very specific situation. And it's like the only reason someone can be that upset, because he said before I had wished him a happy birthday, because it was his birthday. So it's like, to me that was always a really strange situation. I thought about it because the intensity with which this person literally stalked me was insane. And there was no way that this person would have ever thought that anything could have culminated in any way. Friendship, romance, anything. They were very well aware that wouldn't have happened because they know who they are. And apparently they've been observing me. So there's no way that could work in any way, shape, or form. So I thought that was really strange. And I've thought about that for a long time over the years. And I think, that has to be a part of it, because else you wouldn't care that much that I didn't say hi, especially it wasn't even on purpose, right? But like, it wouldn't matter that much,
Yeah.
So that's dangerous. You can just be walking around just being a normal person. Like people on trains and buses, sometimes people will literally like peer at you. They're not just staring, they're ODing.
Yeah.
And doing this really weird, intense shit. And, who knows what they're thinking in their heads.
That's what I mean. It's that idea, because you, like you said, you don't know what the fuck they're thinking.
And people are crazy. I've had a lot of strange experiences so the infatuation to me is kind of scary. Like I want to just kind of look at it objectively, but there is definitely a negative connotation to it for me. And the way that it happens, and when you hear people express it, there's something very off-putting about that. When I was 15 years old, this taxi driver drove me home. So he knows my address, right? Now, as an adult, I always think about stuff like that. Now, I don't have to really take taxis like that, but I always think about things like that. Even coming into my driveway and somebody being able to identify cars, like I'm paranoid, and it's because of stuff like that. And he sent me this teapot.
Teapot?
Fucking teapot. I'm like 15. What do I do with this? He sends me a teapot and like this set. And like, of course, I'm horrified because I'm like, how?
Yeah, like, is this a symbol for some shit?
Oh, that too, right? But you like wrote down my address? You fucking weirdo. You know what I'm saying?
Like how do you know where to send the teapot?
Because he dropped me off as a taxi driver and he wrote down my address like a fucking stalker. So, and he had his phone number in the letter. There was a letter with it. So I called him and, went ballistic on him and scared him. And I didn't have any problems after that. However, it's just strange. When you see things like that, you realize how much people lock in, especially, your own personal experiences with this mental lock-in that you can have with people. And it can be strong. And think about that feeling of infatuation. Think about the strongest feeling of infatuation you've had, not with the cars, but like with the girl, right?
Yeah. You're like, damn the cars, dude.
And think about if you were nuts. So it's okay when normal people experience this, well-balanced, well-adjusted people, but some psycho nut out there experiencing that's a whole different thing.
So the difference is that the well-balanced person, because like I said, I for the life of me, I had a whole lot of internal dialogue. Like, bro, what is your issue, dude? Like, you know what I mean? Like, for the life of me, I didn't know what the fuck, right? But it was just like, all right, well, since I can't figure this out, I ain't gonna say shit.
Makes sense.
Okay, that's what a level-headed person does. I think the person that doesn't quite have it all adjusted, all the screws tight upstairs, they're moved by the idea or the images that they conjure in their own heads. Right? Like what they're convinced of what they see or what it is, like the idea, they're convinced of it. And I think that's when people do like stalkerish shit. Right? They go and do something and then we're all like, bro, like what the fuck? That is like, or what is wrong with this bitch? Like, what is wrong with her? Right? And it is completely irrational to like the observer, right? But to them in their head, it's like, just give me a minute, let me just talk to you. And then it's like, what? They're gonna explain to them what's going on in their head.
Right, and scare the fuck out of them.
And then scare them even more.
And then what about when someone's around you as a friend and then you find out that they've been infatuated with you? Now, I don't know if that's the right word at this point, right? But it could be, because it's not based in reality, right? So let me expound. Okay. So I'm going to bring another personal example here. So a friend of mine, and we are still friends to this day, and we were friends for many years. And maybe about, let's see, 17, 18, well, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So 6, 7, yeah, about 6 years since we knew each other. And we had other friends that we also knew from high school. There were like 3 of us that were really tight, right? So I had actually dated the other friend, right? And I remember my friend who I found out later had feelings for me. He acted strange about it, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I just didn't. And so, we were up there visiting me in upstate New York in my undergrad, and he told me. And when he told me, he was telling me, it was kind of a long sentence, and there was some hallucinogenics involved. So I didn't really know what he was going to say until he actually said it.
Mhm.
And when he said it, I was shocked. Like, even to this day, this many years later, this is 20-something years later, and I'm still, like, I can feel that feeling of shock. And I was like, what's he talking about? And then when he said the last part, in love with you, I was like, what the fuck? And I felt betrayed. I felt lost, because this was my ace, like my best friend. And so now all of a sudden it was something that I didn't think it was. And then I remember talking to his sister, because I was having a really hard time dealing with it. And then I was talking to his sister, who I knew his whole family, and he knows my whole family. And so she's like, in his mind, you were his girlfriend. That shit is so real and so
man.
And I was like, man, and you I pride myself on being an aware person, I'm picking up on things maybe some other people aren't a lot, and I like that, but I missed all of that. And that's a dose of reality, though. But I don't know. I just thought of that.
You know what? Now that I think about it, I had that happen to me.
Mhm.
Where a chick, I was friends with her for a long time. For the longest, did not know that she had a thing for me. I'm talking about for like some years,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when she found out that me and my ex-girlfriend broke up, she kind of just pounced, right? And I was on some like kind of like rebound type shit. This was in between my ex-girlfriend and me getting with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
This was short-lived. This shit lasted maybe like about 6 weeks, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It was short, but dude, it was all the crazy came out.
What do you mean?
All the crazy came out. Like, she was kind of nutso.
Mm.
Yeah. Like, seriously, dude. Like, there were things about her that I didn't really know, because I didn't know her like that. Like, we were cool, but you get, you start having sex with someone and stuff, and then other things about them become present, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was sort of like, oh shit, wait, she's kind of nutty a little bit.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I'm like wanting you to say so much more, but I'm like, I'm just gonna let you talk. I'm not gonna ask any questions.
I mean,
like,
dude, like there were times when like she okay, like she wouldn't leave, like I don't want to say leave my house, but like she would be like throwing rocks at my window, like trying to get me to let her in, and I'd be like, dude, go home.
wait,
What?
hold on a second.
No, Spawn,
Say
no,
that very
not at all.
like,
No,
you didn't
dude,
just
no,
say that.
no, not in
So
a good way.
do you have a doorbell?
No, I had a townhouse at the time, and then I had like this like a metal like kind of gate, and then there was like my front door, but I didn't have a doorbell. You just knocked.
So when you say you're like, dude, go home, is this that she was there and left and came back and threw the rocks, or she wasn't there and was trying to get in and you said no and she was still trying to get in? Like, this is a very weird situation.
It was kind of both a little bit. Like there was a time where I had to like literally tell, like, dude, you gotta get out of my house.
Not both. And wait.
Yeah, and then there was another time when she wanted to come over, and like I was just kind of like, I was like, I'm working on some music, right? So I can't hear you or whatever, right? Like you're outside. I don't know, dude. It's loud in here. And so, uh, she started throwing rocks at my window and shit.
Wait, this is after you told her, dude, you gotta go home?
No, this was like another time.
Like so after you told her, dude, I'm sorry, I have to make sense of everything you're saying.
Yeah. Okay.
So after you told her, dude, you gotta go home, you saw her after that?
Nah.
I'm like, there's no way on earth.
No. Wait. Okay, so wait. So, the first, I'm trying to remember how it happened. Like I
Okay.
said, dude, this was kind of like we started messing around, and then like this is where the weird erratic shit started happening. And so I was trying to process it in one way, and then and I had just got out of that shit with my ex, and I was just like, dude, what the fuck have you gotten yourself into?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, 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 seriously. And so, one time she was just kind of being like, I don't know, just like real emotional shit for like no reason. And so I had to like ask him, like, hey, look, maybe it's just better like if you just went home. You know what I'm saying? It was just weird, dude. And then like another time she wanted to come over. And so it was like she was like throwing rocks at my window and shit. I was like, dude, are you crazy? Like what the
I'm still that like that's not ever. I don't think that's ever gonna make sense to me. Like because I've asked enough
it
clarifying questions where if it was going to make sense, it would have already. And I just don't get
you
it.
see this right here? What the hell?
Hi, the Wife School podcast.
The Wife School podcast. Okay. So says you. All right. I can't confirm or deny that, but
I'm gonna speak on that. So this whole dickmatized thing, right? Let's get into this for a second.
okay.
Why not, right? So I get the definition. So we're both okay with the definition, right? Basically being like, pussy whip, the other version of
That's
that.
the other way around.
Okay. So that's supposed to happen in any situation where you're compatible with the person. Like there's supposed to be that feeling. That's not going to turn somebody into a rock throwing, non-doorbell ringing after someone told you to leave and you somehow want to come back weirdo. That's not going to translate into that ever.
Let me ask you though.
Sure.
Okay, because I didn't know that she had a thing for me for a long time.
Right. So she was like stalking you basically.
I don't see.
Because like that's how I felt my friend was. It's like, yo, you've been feeling this way for 6 years.
That's why I'm like, okay, so wait, have you been going around?
Tell me this?
Yeah, I was like, have you been going around thinking something that I was totally unaware of?
Apparently.
And then like what happens is that you like are reacting to the feelings that you've conjured up in your own head.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways, like we never even talked about this shit. So how the hell am I supposed to know anything? But then you get pissed off. It's like, well, what are you pissed off about?
Right, and exactly that. My friend was mad too, and he was so angry that when the third friend came into the room, because I told you hallucinogenics were involved. We were in the closet listening to Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, that's always gonna be the right there.
And so then the third friend comes and wandered in like with like cookie crumbs on his face, like, "What's up, guys? What are you guys doing?" And all of a sudden, my other friend was like, "So you're not gonna answer me? What? Answer you about what? You didn't ask me a question." And not only that, but now you want to make a scene in front of our other friend, so you're ODing. So the irrationality came out immediately. And my friend is in no way, he is no slouch. He's an extremely good-looking guy. Girls love him. I love him. I just was never physically attracted to him, just ever. But that's my brother forever. If he wants a kidney, he can ask me seriously. But it's just not that type of party, and never was. You know what I'm saying? So I forgot why I brought that in. That had something to do with something, but
well, no, I think what it was, you were highlighting like having experienced where somebody kind of had that towards you.
Right. And then I felt, yeah. So I felt like I think that's one of the feelings where it was like, you have the nerves to be angry I'm the one who should be angry. Like you've been keeping the secret from me, number one. And number two, like it's weird. It's weird to be feeling that way for 6 years. I can't do that. If I'm sitting around loving somebody for 6 years, they'd have known it after like the first probably like 6 months to a year. How does somebody walk around with that? That's strange. And we further talked about it millions and millions of times. And it was more like one of those things. I mean, he's not strange to me. Nothing is strange about him to me. So I get it. But the situation was bugged out. And like it took about maybe 4 years to completely repair. And we became stronger after that. But it was rough for a minute. It really was. Yeah.
Huh. I'm trying to think if there's I now a crush is that's not necessarily an infatuation, is it?
I don't think so. I think they
I don't. I
overlap.
don't yeah.
Definitely
I
think
don't.
they overlap, but a crush has more that can actually build into true like or
Yeah.
love, you know?
Yeah. I was gonna say because I can think back also to like middle school. So it was this girl and I we crushed on each other. That was the funny thing. We crushed
Hmm.
on each other, but never did anything. I think
Hmm.
at most we may have like touched or held hands one time.
Aw,
Dude, it's so pathetic.
that's so cute.
It was so pathetic. I swear. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me.
There's nothing
Um,
wrong. What's pathetic about that?
huh? Because
What if a junior high
because
school
I
kid
bet
wandered
you
in here and heard that? There's nothing pathetic about
no,
that at
it's
all.
no. I'm saying because I think like if she were like here, like let's just say she's in the chat or something, or like she was listening in, and we dropped the link and she came up onto this panel.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think she'd probably just be like, "Why the fuck didn't you ever like do anything?"
So has that been your pattern?
Uh, no, not necessarily.
So
Um,
is this something like, because my understanding is when a man wants something, he goes after it, period. This is my understanding for sure because my boyfriend, when I was in undergrad, we went together for 8 years. He was so shy, very shy person, very
mm,
tough and strong person, but very shy. And listen, when he wanted to get with me, he made it known. So I learned so much from that. Like guys go after
yeah.
what they want, period. So is it that the times where you did actively pursue, was it because it mattered more, or was it something else going on?
No, not at all, dude. Like seriously, I think this is where like that this goes back to like the last time live stream we did like about introversion and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just think like I've always been the type of dude that's been in my own head too much, right? So usually what'll happen, or at least like if I think back then, there was other things that would like literally just snatch my attention. I totally had a crush on her shit. She totally crushed on me, but DJing was a thing and cars was a thing and all that other shit.
Man, I don't get that. Like
What?
either I don't get it. I'm not saying I don't buy it. Like I feel like you really do
Yeah,
believe
I
that.
mean, I can explain it more, but yeah.
I would like for you to, but let me tell you why I don't buy it because no matter it's kind of like that whole thing, like, oh, I was just so busy, or like, oh,
No, 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 no. Don't it don't dude, don't.
like man, you're never
No, it's no. That's not it. That's not it. No, seriously though, like I started doing the DJing thing, right? And like for real, dude, I I was all about records. I was always digging, DJing on the decks, stuff like that. Going to clubs and shit. And so, like, no, seriously. And then she went to I was about to say the actual college, but she was at college, right?
Mhm.
So she's running track and doing all that stuff, and she's in school, and then and this is I'm talking like this after we graduated, dude, because
Mhm.
we were still in contact with each other until what I think until she graduated college, and then she went to the Navy.
Mhm.
Oh goddamn! All right, well, if she hears this, she knows who I'm talking about now.
She probably already did.
But yeah, so I don't know, man. I just think I'm not sure.
Mhm.
I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure.
So what
But
about in high
yeah,
school? Good.
no. I was just saying, yeah, I'm not sure.
So let's move up to high school or move forward to high school. We talked a lot about junior high school and elementary school, right? So let's go by high school. So like in high school, I'd say like sophomore year is when people start to really kind of come in themselves or come into their own or whatever that means. Like,
Hmm.
you know, like you've
Find
already
themselves.
yeah, like right. The awkwardness is like being shed, you know what I mean? At least for me, that was that time. And I felt like every interest that I had, I was focused on it, right?
Hmm.
So, and I always had a crush on somebody. And if I was going out with them, then that was the person I had a crush on. And I felt that if I had a crush on somebody else, I shouldn't be going out with that guy anymore. You know what I mean? So that's how I look. That's still how I look at things. If it's okay to be with someone and then like someone else, but I think that means that you should no longer be with the person that you're with, because what's the point? Because if you really like someone, your attention is concentrated on them. Other people seem much lamer to them, much less viable than them, and that doesn't go away. Like I said, those things get stronger. But what was the other part I was gonna say? Oh, hey Afro, what does he say? Good morning, very nice. Female friends never mix. Right. And like I've also thought it was, I know I'm jumping around, but there's a lot to talk about here. The when you see like those movies or something and somebody's like, yeah, they've been friends forever, and then they get together and it's like, oh, he was the best when he was right there all along. I can't believe I didn't notice. Like, ew. Yeah, like I don't know. And again, I grew up with my uncles, so it's like, I'm with guys always, and it's just like there's definitely a difference. There's no overlap, and once a person is friend zoned, they are there. There is no, to me, I've never experienced that where now I'm looking at them differently, or I'm like, you know what, I think no, like that electricity is there in the beginning. It doesn't have to be this big fireworks thing, but it's certainly something that you can grow to love the person more, but it doesn't have to translate into romanticism or vice versa.
Yeah.
Podcast. There are times and moments when we should make them into friends and won't reject them. I think that happens a lot. And I've heard guys tell me, every guy that you're friends with is just the guy that's either waiting for you to decide on it.
See,
or just you didn't want to be with him and he just settled on the friends. I've thought about it so long. Like I'm back and forth on it. I don't know. Like
I don't know about that. I think it works. I think it applies for I would say maybe a majority of the people. I think that applies for the majority of people. Now, to kind of like maybe now that I'm really kind of thinking about this comment right here, I think maybe I do the same thing. I friend zone chicks. Inadvertently, I don't know, because I'm aloof in a lot of ways. I'm not even gonna lie, man. I've been told this, that I can be aloof when it comes to these types of things, especially with women sometimes, right? Because usually what happens with me is that a woman will secretly like me. They'll never tell me until like sometime later. If I showed you my high school yearbook, how many girls wrote in there, I always liked you, and it's just like, but you never fucking said anything.
That's funny,
right? So in my head, dude, I walk around like completely oblivious to shit. I think that's what my issue is. I'm oftentimes like oblivious to stuff.
Well, what exactly would you be waiting for them to say? I mean, women.
I'm not waiting for anything. That's the whole thing.
But like let me rephrase that. Fair enough. Okay. Let me rephrase it. When you asked the question about and you never said anything. Well, it wasn't a question, but I had a questioning kind of like upward inflection. So I kind of figure it's a question.
What
were they supposed to say? That if you like the woman, they're gonna want you to say something. And this goes for girls. This goes for, I don't care how old we're talking about. And I think some women are comfortable not, doing whatever and approaching the guy, but what were they supposed to say? Hey, I like you.
Yeah. Well, no, perhaps, or do something. Because think about it, right? I mean, wait, how do people just okay, I'm trying to understand. Wait, okay, hasn't it ever worked? Or can you say that it works in the sense of like, okay, let's go back to school. Let's go back to like elementary, junior high, right? Mm-hmm. So some chick tells her friend to go tell him that she likes him.
Yep.
Okay. Now here's the thing. He up until the point where that friend tells him, okay, he don't know shit.
That's true. I think that's true a lot. Yeah.
Okay. See, so how is there supposed to be this electricity and sparks and shit when he's none the wiser?
Okay, I got you. And then
yeah.
No. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say. So I think that's what it is. It would be more times than not with me is that I was none the wiser.
All right, I understand that. That makes a lot of sense. So I really couldn't say anything about that, even though I'm gonna be honest with you, I do still have the question, what would they do or say? But I still understand totally what you're saying. And you're right. When you're in school, you always have your friend, the wing person or whatever. That's how I always like. I figured not because well, one was I thought that maybe they didn't know, and two was is that guys are so you can tell. I mean, if you know, as if you're a certain type of an observant person, you can tell that guys don't really know which way is up at that age. So they're really not gonna. They're not gonna do anything or say anything unless they feel comfortable and they know. Now, if they feel comfortable, they know you're not gonna reject them. Then that's still up to them to figure
Right.
out what to do in the in between. So you know, you kind of know that as a young girl. You know what I'm saying? So, but then when you're out of that environment, it who are you going to ask somebody that, right? So at that point, the dynamic has to change. It has to be where the guy is like, well, I'm interested in her, so let me say something. So a woman's going to think, well, if he's interested enough, he will say something. Well, some women will think that, like I would think that. You know, there have been several times that I think I'm like, okay, he seems kind of interesting. I'm not going to say anything to him. And I felt like, okay, he felt I was interesting too, but he didn't say anything. Oh, well, I guess it's not going to happen then. It just wasn't meant to be then. Bye.
Yeah.
And I feel very comfortable with that. So I've changed my view. I'm not going to ask someone, hey, you know, ask him if he thinks I'm pretty. Like, what?
I mean, I'm not. I mean, no, that was an example of like how somebody like it can start. It can start by being one way, right? That friend going over to that dude, and then saying, "Hey, she likes you," right?
Yeah.
And then he turns around and looks at her, and then all of a sudden it's just like, "Oh wow, she likes me." Then he likes her back. Now they like each other. You see what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I've seen it where it's happened like that, but when you kind of remove that intermediary part, and then you get into like the adult realm and shit, right? Look, people. I'll keep it real with you, dude. Like people have a face, right? A lot of people are operating and moving out here in the world not in like their true sense, not in their true face. Like they got a face that they put on, right? So like it speaks to the whole infatuation piece. Like, okay, you step to somebody, like, what do you really know? Right? Like what is it like we gotta go back to this right here. You know what I'm
What?
saying? That right there,
So
attraction
apparently
minded.
women are supposed gotcha.
You
But
know what
isn't
I'm saying?
it anticlimactic though? Because when you have the opportunity, then fine. But when the opportunity is not there, it's anticlimactic because it's still gonna go back to okay, like the position you said where the guy is like, oh wow, she likes me, I like her too. It's kind of like, yo, I fuck with who fucks with me. Like what? No, it should be more like, oh, I have to say something to her. That's what women want.
Mhm.
It's so much so that destiny will not allow me to not say anything. Period.
Wait, wait the fuck.
Gotta be that serious, or else you know, fuck it. Like, yes.
You know what, man? Okay, I
And it goes.
now is this that, and you're saying that's how women see it?
That's how I see it. I think that's how a lot of women see it, and I think the
Uh-huh.
ones who don't see it that way would love to see it that way. Maybe they just don't feel like comfortable enough to, or they think that's a not realistic. Like if they feel that way, they're going to set themselves up for disappointment or something. I don't have time for that. It's
Yeah.
going to have to either be. I mean, well, it doesn't matter like for my position now, but you know, like when I was out in the world like that. Yeah, I don't mean like out in the world crazy. I just mean when I was dating.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's I
Okay,
would
but
say, listen, even if they don't feel that way, it's always a good idea if you like a woman. It's always a good idea to let her know. I don't. That's up to you how you do it.
uh,
I'm talking to all you guys. It's up to y'all how you do it. But if not, then waiting. And a lot of times, the woman you want, and a lot of times, you know, guys describe women that they like. That personality or whatever, that appearance, that whatever it is going to that person is going to expect the guy to come up to them. Boom.
I mean, but that's see that's I don't know. I would say like this, right? I usually like the kind of cues that I would get, and this is just maybe me, right? Obviously it is, but um like I never did the dating thing, and I think when you're doing the dating thing, that's a formality, right? Guy goes up to him and he goes, "Hey, I think you're beautiful," right? Oh no, I'm paraphrasing, but basically, It's the what is it right here? Blue Sock says you're shooting your shot, shit.
Yeah.
Right? I'm gonna tell you right now, dude. I don't really have a lot of interest in that type of shit. I really
Mm-hmm.
don't. And to be honest with you, is because I never really had to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is I ain't on no pimp shit. Okay, for y'all listening, like that's not what I'm getting
Nah,
at.
I know you better than that. I know.
Yeah, it's what I mean is just like I kind of just let shit flow. You know what I'm saying? So like for example, like my with the girl I was crushing on, right? Like her and I like I said, man, I just think both of us really just weren't mature enough.
Yeah.
I think I mean if I'm gonna be honest with you, right? I think both of us kind of uh I don't know. I honestly like with her and I. Even today, we're cool, right? We'll still tap in with each other on Instagram, say what's up and all that. Um, but yeah, I just think we were just both immature.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I chalk it up to that because I kind of look at things that play out in life, and you know what's especially with relationships and stuff. See, what one thing I can say is I didn't act on a lot of shit coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I've
You
seen
feel like
like
you missed out on anything?
hell no,
Good.
because
Okay.
I watched homies go through shit.
Right. Right.
Right? I watched homies like mess around and knock a chick up. We was fresh out of high school, and it was just like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Those will scare people.
You
Yeah.
know
I
what
know.
I'm saying? It's like there's a lot of stuff. I observed. I did a lot of people watching. You know, I watched a lot of other people and learned from their relationships and stuff. You know what I mean? And was very careful when I got engaging with that type of shit. I was
Absolutely.
very choosy, very selective. That's why I don't really feel it incumbent upon to just be like on some holla 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 holla.
No, see, that's the thing. Okay, so that's an extreme. Those are going to the
Well,
extreme.
I didn't mean to go there with the extreme, but see, because like I'm reading like Alonzo's comments
I
here,
want to.
right?
Actually, I'm
You
waiting
want to
to.
address them?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I would like to address.
Go ahead.
But let me say real quick, that's an extreme because it's going to segue into his comment. It's an extreme, so it's not like, oh, shoot your shot at every girl. Because I don't. That would depend on how many times you're feeling this feeling of attraction, right? I'm talking about if you really feel like you're interested in somebody and you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to say anything to her, but that I'm saying that that's probably not the best way to approach it. So it doesn't mean going to everyone. But I'm curious, Alonzo, what you mean, because you say that's stupid. You can't want guys to want to approach you and simultaneously get annoyed by being approached by every guy. So here we go to more extremes again. So let's talk about the latter part. Well, I never said, I don't know if you mean to me directly. And I'm not too sure what you mean. What's stupid? I'm
No,
pretty
I
sure
know
we can
he's
have a conversation without that. But here's the thing though.
mm,
I'm going to speak for myself right now.
okay.
I never spoke about getting annoyed by being approached by every guy. And so let me now speak for all women. I don't think any women get annoyed by getting approached by every guy. And then I'm going to go back to that, but let me approach the first part. You can't want guys to approach you. So I don't think the idea is wanting guys to approach. It's just that if somebody is interesting to someone, it's more comfortable for the guy to approach, right? And I guess that could be wanting to approach, but it's not this idea like, oh, I want guys to approach. It's like
Wait,
if I
wait.
like that guy, I want that guy to approach. So I
Well,
want to.
how does that guy know?
Okay, I'll get to that 1 second. So then the every guy, no, and this is when I was saying before about how a guy does it is up to them, right? That's where all that stuff is in. Because there's a difference between the weirdo on the train staring at you and you're not too sure if he's about to pull something out and a guy who might be in your class who likes you. I mean, like let's be a little more realistic with this here. Now, so then what you
Yeah.
said, complex, how would he know? That's why I couldn't disagree with you when I said even though I still do stick by that would be more comfortable for women. I'm still saying what you're saying makes sense. Yeah, it's a very good question. How would he know? So let's try to answer it. So let me think.
I do want to say this too. It's easy for a woman to say, yeah, it's easier because if you ask the guy, they'd be like, yeah, why don't you just do it?
What do you mean? Why doesn't the woman
I
just do
think
it?
both sides are gonna think that it's easier for the other side to approach.
Tell me why you think that. Tell me why you think guys think it would be easier for the woman to approach.
Well, because more than likely a dude will. I mean, unless you're just like, unless you're hideous. Okay, that's one thing. But it's just like the example I gave you about the schoolyard shit. Girl
Mhm.
tells her homegirl to go tell him that I like him, right? She tells him all he has to do is turn around and look at her and be like, "Oh, okay, I like you too." Boom. That's how easy it is. Versus like let a dude pull up to a chick. She'll tell you she's not feeling you when she is, but or maybe she'll tell you that she's feeling you when she's not. You never know which way it goes, right?
What?
Yeah, no, because dude, chicks will game dudes up.
Who
Like they'll
says
just
that?
they'll play
Oh, you
around
mean
with
like if they
interests and
want
shit.
something? Okay, I got
Yeah,
you.
that's what I mean. There's more variables to it. When the dude is doing the hollering, right? Where versus when it's the other way around. It's
Mhm.
very straightforward when y'all do it. That's why I was kind of like, well, I think that's more of a perception thing because
But
I think there's way more hoops a dude has to jump through. Way more.
I understand what you mean too, but I think that a woman will look at it like, well, if he really, really wants me, then he's gonna see what's going on because that's just to me that's the nature of the guy. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with women approaching guys. Personally, I'm telling you, like when I was younger, what I would do, I would ask my friend to go, ask him what was up or whatever, but it wasn't in like this aggressive way. It was just in a more so let me feel it out because I wouldn't think if I didn't do that, nothing would happen. So I'm totally agree with what you're saying, right? But
Mhm.
that's not comfortable as I got older because well, A, the wing people are not there, and B, it just didn't make sense for me. I didn't feel comfortable. I just don't feel comfortable. I would not have felt comfortable doing that. The last time I remember like not having a situation where I liked a guy and I didn't think that he would know anything unless I said something. We had mutual friends, so there was still that
Yeah.
ability to kind of bridge that gap.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think I looked at it as destiny. This is what's comfortable for me and this is what's not comfortable for me, so the person that I end up with will probably have to approach me, and that's what happened. And actually, interestingly enough, he wasn't that type of person like that either, go hollering at people, but it goes back to that when you want something, you're gonna
Well,
you
but you have to. I'm saying there has to be some sort of there's a give and a take. There's a biofeedback that's supposed to occur, right? Like I said, now for me, I never did the dating shit, none of that, right? So I wasn't doing the holler type thing, right? That just wasn't my steez. I just never did that shit. Never pulled up on chicks doing that. Like, don't ask me what that's about. I just never. This just wasn't me. Any relationship that I found myself in, typically, um, that was more of a what can like an organic manifestation or some shit.
uh-huh.
It wasn't anything where, like I said, like where I kind of started out trying to like holler or trying to. It didn't start that way. I think I even
Mhm.
told you about like my friend right now, right? And I can tell you, we're kind of it's kind of like how it typically is with me, where it's almost like you can kind of feel it a little bit.
Mhm.
And so when I can kind of feel it, that's when I know. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So for me, it's more of like a slow developing thing. I don't rush it. I don't press shit. Like I'll hear dudes be like, you should know in what is it? What do they say in 6 months? How long do they say? In 6 months, you should know if you want to marry a woman. I'm like,
But
on what
I
on
never
what
heard that
planet?
one.
Huh?
I haven't heard that one.
That was Kevin Samuels said that. Like there's a bunch of dudes on the manager. They actually think this shit. Like you should know if you want to marry a woman within 6 months of meeting her. And I'm like, you're insane. What?
You know what's funny? I don't think that's the most insane comment, but I can understand why you think it's insane. I'm willing to expound on it.
Really?
Can we take a little
Yeah,
break?
yeah. No, expound on that.
Can we take a little break first?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Because we are at an hour and 15 minutes. Yes, because I need to go and re up on this tea.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
All
All
right, here.
right.
Let's do this. Let me
We will
type
be back.
this in. Yeah, intermission, y'all.
Oh, complex. Look at your text messages too in the meantime.
Okay.
All right. We'll be back, guys.
Okay, I am back. Wait for real life to come back. Thank you all for joining us. If you haven't hit the like button, I'm not ending this. I'm just thanking you all for joining us. Let's go through some comments here. There was one. Let me see. I think Uh, the Wife School podcast asked, "Do you like assertive women or something? Do men like assertive? There it is, right there. Do men like assertive women? Uh, I mean, assertive in what way? Not bitchy. No, not bitchy. Mm-mm, no. I mean, there's assertive and then there's bitchy, right? Like my stepmom is an assertive person, but she's not bitchy. You know what I mean? So there's like negative attributes of like things that people might think are. I mean, like, there's negative things to you know things like assertiveness that people will take away, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that has to be expressed in a negative way. Like, so for example, there's been dudes all over the manosphere who like really kind of shit on this notion of this idea of sapiosexualism, right? Like, why do I need a woman to be smart? I'm like, what kind of question is that? You know what I mean? So I think
I would never trust a guy who would say anything like that.
I mean that is I'm like, dude, you're gonna get everything you get, right? For the type of chick I do if a chick doesn't have a functioning brain in her head, I cannot coexist with her,
And it
right?
tells you how not deep the attraction process is for that person. It's like they
Exactly.
don't even have to have a mental aspect to be attractive, like unless they find not smart attractive. But that's not
Hmm.
what you're saying,
Well, some dudes do. The ditzy chick.
right?
You know that the ditzy airhead type dudes. Some dudes like love that. Real shit.
I would
Some dudes,
imagine that would be like maybe like some guys who struggle with feeling powerful or things like that, maybe.
yeah, no, seriously, like those are dudes that are actually intimidated by a woman who has a functioning brain,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like some people, right? Um, and this is kind of going to that assertive thing, right? Because you see it a lot nowadays with women too, because they don't want to be told some shit because they boss babe in it, right? Who are you to tell
Apparently,
me? Right.
right?
And then on the flip, you got the dudes that don't want to hear a woman's thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really value her intelligence like that.
Do you think if a man feels that way that he's definitely a misogynist?
Um, hmm. I mean, from my understanding, a misogynist is somebody like a dude who hates a woman or hates
Yes.
women.
Yes.
I don't know if that's hating a woman.
Okay.
I wouldn't call that misogyny.
Okay.
I mean, now it's uh it's downplaying the intelligence of women,
Okay.
right? Or not acknowledging it, or um, I don't know. I think you kind of hmm, that might kind of take me down a rabbit hole. But I was
Yeah,
about
that's why I asked. Like, I'm not necessarily saying I feel that way or not. I'm just kind
yeah
of musing on it as I asked. You know.
no, because I was really starting to have some thoughts about um, well, let's center it back to the topic, right? That's the type of shit that leads to being infatuated.
What's that?
Just like very, very like superficial attraction.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And you don't like there's no other virtues of a person that is really giving you the correct composite towards that attraction. Perfect
That's like
example.
those dudes who feel comfortable with those dolls, like that guy, those guys, those doll guys.
Yeah, no, seriously, they literally need an inanimate object to literally say
Yeah.
nothing. Right? It's that bad with them. Like seriously, yeah. That's a
We
good
had left
example.
off. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And also, am I cutting off a thought? Were you about to start another
No,
thought?
go
Okay.
ahead.
Right before we took a break, there was a specific question. What was it again?
Let me go back up. Hold on.
Thank you. I'm trying to remember too as I asked.
Let's see here.
It wasn't how is a man supposed to know that a woman is attracted to him? Was that it?
Let me go. That was Zoe. Let me see. Was it? Let me see if it was this one or this one, maybe.
Even if a woman, I don't
Because
know.
we kind of touched. Oh no, was it this one?
I know it was something having to do with that, but there was a more specific question. I was just gonna. Oh wait, hold on, I'm getting it
Got it.
because you said something. It was you. You said something, and then I said, I know what it was. I got it. The 6 months thing.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it is a little bit nuts because as I said before, I think it does take a while to get to know somebody.
Mm-hmm.
However, do you have to know somebody fully to know that you want to marry them? And I mean this in a very, deep way. I don't mean this in like, because it seems like, of course you do, stupid. No, maybe not.
Stupid.
Right? Because I feel that, and I've said this when I was in my early 30s. I was like, I'm not interested in dating unless I feel like I'm gonna want to marry that person. And I kind of always felt that way,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's a little bit different. But I was like adamantly like going to act that out, practice, right? And it kind of goes into something I think it was Alonzo said earlier about a woman will just go out with the guy even if she doesn't want him. I want to talk about that too in a minute.
Yeah.
But I want you to hit the tennis ball back before we go into that part. So
Okay.
I think after 6 months, right, you do understand enough about a person to know if you want to continue. Now let's go back to what I was saying. My framework of thinking was if I didn't want to marry the guy, I'm not going to go on a second date with him. But how do you know you want to marry him? I'm not saying that I know I want to marry him. I'm just saying if I think that I could do that. Basically, if there's anything on that person that I'm like, I know that this person would not be marriage material for me. What's the purpose of going on a second date with him? I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting his time. And it's ill. Literally, it's just ill. So that means that within 6 months, you have a bunch of these thinkings. Well, could I marry this person? So a lot of times they're still making it through the I don't know, through the double digger like physical challenge. Like,
Yeah. The physical challenge.
And so you may know that you want to marry the person. It doesn't mean you're ready to marry the person. It doesn't mean that you're not aware that there are many more things that you would want to know and be sure about, be comfortable with. But I think it is safe to say that you would feel around that time like, yeah, I think I might want to marry this person. You might change your mind next week. But if the thought framework is there, I think that could be realistic. And very often people who have gotten married, and I'm talking about who are still in love after a really long time, a lot of them have said things like that. And I mean, in the situation I'm in now, I felt very early on like, okay, this is exactly what I was looking for, so you do kind of know some.
But I mean, okay. I think oh man. Ugh. I'm the complete opposite of that 6 month thing. Right? Like, and okay, let's do it like this, right? So with my ex-girlfriend, right, that relationship happened how like people's typical relationships happen nowadays, I guess. I've only been in two like serious relationships. It was my ex and my wife. And that's it. You know what I mean? And they both happen. They hope they both happen like opposite of how they developed in the opposite, right? So with my ex girlfriend, that really was one of like the whole sort of like spending time getting to know each other. Yeah, she seems cool. She seems like somebody, right? And then over the course of like our 2.5 year relationship, I found out she's demonic. So
Whoa.
yeah, no, seriously, dude. Like, just look, everything that, so everything that I don't want and I didn't want in a relationship, I learned from that one, right?
And how did it? Not that just in while you're still talking about it, can you also tell us how it was able to be like buried for that amount of time?
What you said? How
the demonism, like how is it not really like? I'm not saying how did you not see it. I'm purposefully not posing it that way because I don't mean it that way, not in an accusatory way. Just like, do you think she purposefully hid true natures?
I was going to say that's exactly what it is. You know, people they give you a face.
Gotcha.
Right, and that's the reason why I've always been like real slow to move on something, because I'm like, I'm a type of person, I really need to know who I'm fucking with.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I'm probably more prone to friend zoning the chick before she friend zones me,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not quick to act on some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what I mean. It's just like, yo, let me find out what this person's. Let me see how their head is ticking. I'm that type of dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I'm that type of person, man. I'm not just, it's not on some like, yeah, let me slide up on her real quick. Let me see what's good with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
lame.
huh?
That's lame.
I mean, look, it's kind of like, for me, it's just there's hardly any intel to go on.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? I'm trying to be more like, in me saying these types of things. I'm trying to kind of give you my how I think about this. Like it's not. I don't just look and then go, yeah, and then I go and talk.
Exactly.
I
Right.
don't know that person.
Yep.
As fine as she is, I don't know her. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm dead ass, dude. Like I'm saying, like, let her open her mouth and say some most stupid shit.
Right.
I'm gonna feel stupid for approaching her.
Right. Right.
Cause then I'm gonna be like, now I gotta make an exit.
Right. Never mind.
Never mind.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
in order to avoid all that type of shit, it's just like, dude, there's nothing wrong with like friendly banter, like having an exchange just to kind of like throw a little joke, throw a little charm or some shit. And like, did she catch it? Did she receive it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's real face to face cues for me. You know what I mean? It's like, look, I can't stand all this. No disrespect to Wife School podcast. I can't stand all this podcast bullshit. As
Mm-hmm.
far as like the relationship stuff and how people talk about, uh, you know, how who's approaching you, how you approaching this and that, and cold
Mm-hmm.
approaching and this, and ignoring chicks, you get chicks to chase you by all of this sounds counter fucking intuitive to me.
I agree.
It all sounds counterintuitive to me, man. Like sometimes, dude, like I said, dude, like with my wife, it was a fucking chance meeting.
Mm-hmm.
The shit just happened.
Which goes to this comment here about the handkerchief, right? So the opportunity, the situation is there, and of course, people can feel things off of people. So it's like if a woman likes a man and she doesn't want to approach him, let's say, there's nothing wrong with making eye contact, or that's a little bit longer. It's very subtle. People notice those things, and you would automatically do it if you like somebody, if you seem interested in that person. So of course you give signs and things like that, but I didn't think that was the same thing as approaching, right? that's why you do it. See, the woman drops the handkerchief so the guy can approach. She's not throwing the handkerchief in his face like, yo, I'm approaching you.
But
So that still points to that thing. It's like, sure, okay, you get a little sign, but all that other stuff has to come from the guy. So that goes to what I was saying too. Go ahead.
yeah, but I'm saying that's the whole biofeedback thing, right? Now, to Blue Sox's comment, friend zoning a chick so you're not effing them while you're getting to know them. No. I
I
mean,
thought you meant that as a joke. That was serious.
I don't. Well, maybe it's a joke, maybe it's serious, but listen, dude. Like, I am one of the most like pragmatic, sensible people on the planet. I know full well, dude, it is not meant for me to stick my penis in everything that's moving. Okay, it's just not. That's just not how it works for me. Like, can I go and get some? Sure. Like, but it doesn't have to be from. I don't know. That's
Mhm.
just. I don't know how to explain this.
And
I don't
that
know.
kind of goes into sapiosexualism, right? I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Not kind of, it directly goes into that.
Yeah. It's like, okay, these things do kind of function different for different people,
Yeah.
right? Because I could never really understand. Um. Okay. So. And I'm in my head with it, right? Like, how do I just like be a friend with a chick and then be having sex with her? Because I just told you guys about a time when I started having sex with a chick I was friends with, and then she went batshit.
That's the rock thrower, right?
Yes.
Okay.
See, so when you say that right there, I'm like, well, listen, I have experience doing the opposite of that right there. I'm sorry, I have experience doing that, and it wasn't the best experience for me.
Rock lady, right? White
Yeah,
school.
Rock Lady. Yeah, we're gonna just call her Rock Lady. you know. But I mean, listen, there's just certain things, man, that I don't know. I guess for me anyway, I don't have much interest in, you know, because okay, let's do it like this, right? I think that like every year when you get older, okay, there should be some shit that you've done in the past that drops off of what you, because you as you get older you should be acquiring like new things, so
Yeah.
like old shit should be dropping off, right?
Hmm.
And I think the way uh humans, and let's just specifically, let's just say men, women, and we can even be more specific, black men, black women, right, how they've been interacting, they need to drop that off.
Yeah.
Okay, they need to
You
delve
mean just the whole making a fetish of it in general, right?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yes, and get back to our some organic shit.
You think that's possible?
um hmm. I mean, I don't want to just do the bullshit. Anything's possible, you know. uh, let's see. To some extent, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, to some extent,
Hmm. Same players, different players.
different players.
Gotcha. Hmm.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I'm hoping that like this type of stuff, like, you know, these live streams that we do, I'm hoping it hits. I'm hoping it hits like smart young adults.
Hmm.
That's I'm hoping like these types of live streams and conversations that we do, it hits like them
Hmm.
more than anything.
Hmm.
You know, like I because it young adulthood, if you kind of get your head, you know, in the right frame, then you know you can avoid all the bullshit that you hear everybody making these fucking podcasts about.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like seriously. So I'm about like either you can go through some shit, go through it once, or learn from other people's shit. But like I said, you gotta just drop this shit that people like this repetitious cycle. It's all infatuation based.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Think about all of the talking points. It's all about like, well, what attracts me? Money. You know, what about on a chick? Well, it's like fit, feminine, friendly, right? Not saying that that's a bad thing, but
Right.
look how basic
Right.
all this shit is, and
Right.
humans are anything but basic.
Right. And some of the baddest chicks I know are fit, friendly, and feminine. Okay. I'm not saying that some of the coolest ones aren't also, but I'm just saying that criteria right there, that's not gonna work. It's not gonna cut it. So go back. Let's go back to this idea of like, oh, a woman will go out with the guy if she's not interested just to get a free dinner or whatever. I know he didn't say it that cheaply, but it was something like
Yeah,
that. So I have mentioned this, I believe, on one of our previous lives where I was thinking this was in the midst of all this. Yeah, I'm not really doing all this, like, ill. Like I was just really just disgusted. And nothing terrible happened. It was just like, like I said, I was already at that point, early 30s, and I'm thinking like, I had figured that as busy as I was with stuff, I still figured I would have been married by then. You know what I mean? And but I was like, yo, it's not even close. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. So I was like, let me just kind of figure some things out and not deal with people, and then make my criteria really, really higher, even though they're already very high. But
mhm,
like I was saying before, if I don't feel like this person is like, so all that, like I'm just not even gonna go out on a second date. And that first date might not even happen because depending on how we're getting to know each other, you know what I mean? You can figure all
yeah,
that before first date. So anyway, situation came up and I went out on it, and this a lot of people were buzzing in my head, and it's crazy because one of the main buzzers, a girl I went to high school with, she ended up marrying this cokehead. And yeah, they have an apartment that they own in Battery Park City. Yeah, they do, and they have a lot of cool stuff. But her life, she's not happy, and I know this for a fact. And how is she giving me advice? And she tells me, no one's perfect, and she's like she said, like I don't know
like
either.
are you, yeah, like are you telling me or are you telling yourself this?
Right. And she's like, so certain things you can just overlook that. And I'm hearing a lot of stuff like this. Now, I'm not stupid enough to think, oh, she's right, but I am intelligent enough to think I'm hearing a lot of this same theme. Maybe I should look at this a little more deeply. And I was never the type of person to just say, well, I'm not that interested in this person, but I'll go out on a date with him anyway. Never. So I tried it once and it was depressing. It was so depressing. The whole time sitting there, it was like, it was literally depressing. My chemicals were changed for that time. And we took a walk afterwards and it was cool. Like the walk was cool. And usually you would just have fun anyway doing that. But I knew we're supposed to be on this date. And I'm like, I don't know how people do this shit. And I never did it after that. That is so weird. So if people are able to do that for a free dinner or for just to go out, I mean, this is an issue of boredom or broke or not enough food. This is not an issue
I'm
of
about to say, your ass is hungry.
saying like what is really going on there.
Yeah, you just hungry. That's what that is. Like you're not really, you just legit like, yeah. What's on the menu? Crazy. I mean, but look, that's why I'm saying I never dated. Check this out. I thought one of the most ridiculous ways to get to know somebody is to actually pay money to do it.
Right.
You get what I mean? Like,
yeah, you really don't like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, dude, like I'm saying, like my kind of come up, I always thought really vast, like real different about shit. Like it didn't make sense for me, one, to go up to a chick and then be like, hey, let me feed you so I can get to know you. That is some strange shit. Yeah.
A lot of our dating rituals are weird as I don't know.
Weird. They're weird, dude. Like there's nothing natural about it. Like, dude, like
at all.
Yeah. Like, okay, if you think back to like kindergarten, I always kindergarten.
Is that a California thing?
Yeah, kindergarten. Oh, okay. Isn't it like kinder?
I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, California pronunciation of kindergarten.
It's funny.
But like, when you watch like little boy, little girl, they have a little crush on on each other and stuff at school and all that. It's so organic how it happens, right? And then you fast forward to adulthood, and all of a sudden everybody's stuck on complete fucking stupidity. How is it that kids in kindergarten have it more figured out than your adult asses?
Where are they stuck on the stupidity? I don't disagree. I just want you to say more.
Just in the interaction between like they act like like okay, when the whole we go back to the exchange, like what we were talking about a little while ago, right? When Alonzo was putting stuff in, where it's just like, okay, well, maybe we gotta drop this signal, or pick up on this hint, or you gotta do this or do that. I'm like, fucking kids didn't even have to do this shit.
Understood, but they do though, the signals, right? And so speaking of Alonzo, he says eye contact is not enough. I disagree, because we our non-body language, we pick up on those things very much so, and a guy can tell if a woman lingered just a little bit longer, and it might not be enough for him to know that he's not going to get rejected, but it is enough for him to know that if he's interested, he should probably give it a shot to say something. But yeah, you're right with the I was gonna say, but those cues do happen, like in kindergarten, like the smiles. Like I remember my first crush was in kindergarten, and then and we were always smiling at each other, and like we both knew, obviously we both liked each other. Nothing happened for it, obviously we didn't say anything to each other, but we're 5, but it was clear, right? So, but no one said anything, right? Because that wasn't the place for it. So nowadays, I think this is convoluted for other reasons, but all of those little things, it's not that much effort in an organic situation, right? So if the situation is not being forced, it sounds ridiculous and a lot of effort and tiring. But in an organic situation, all this is happening. We may not be compartmentalizing it, but it's happening. And it's part of the dance. And it's nice. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, does a guy really, let's say that in the way that, so it's not I think the semantics kind of come in here with the word approach. So let's take a situation where two people are kind of saw interest in the other, whatever, they think the other one's interesting. No one is saying something to the other one. They have opportunities to, right?
Yeah.
There's so many things happening throughout that day when they're talking to each other where they're picking up on that. Even the electricity from people. I've sat in meetings with people. Like there was this one guy, he and I liked each other. And I mean, it was clear that there was a lot of nonverbal communication going on.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I think it's not that complicated if we're not breaking it down verbally or conceptually. And then when it's not organic, it is complicated.
Yeah. And okay, and so you reminded me of someone that I worked with, and I want to say we really did. Here's the issue. Like this was kind of after, this was some, like, it wasn't that long after my wife passed, right? And
Mhm.
I was like just kind of like out of it a bit,
Of course.
right? But then I got a job. I was working at a solar company, right?
Hmm.
And so there's the sister. She worked. She worked in. We both worked in HR, but we were in different divisions. But we would have to correspond with each other, right?
Hmm.
And so she was like a film major, right? Very, very intelligent and like just naturally beautiful,
Hmm.
right? Just kind of, I mean, like the type of chick where it gets, that turns my head. I'm like, huh, right? And
Hmm.
so over time, when we were getting to know each other, we would talk. We would find ourselves, like, I'd go over there, run something over to where she would be at, and I'd end up being over there for like 15 minutes talking with her,
Hmm.
right? And then I'd be like, oh shit, I gotta run. She's like, yeah, you know what, you should go. But she's like, yeah, we'll pick it up when you come back, or, when you bring that over here or whatever, right? Or it'd be stuff like that. And body language,
Hmm.
body language, that's something to pick up on, right?
Hmm.
Body language. Or like if I was standing by her desk, right? I mean, what she would do, like, just kind of like turn her chair towards me,
Hmm.
and kind of like perk her tits up a little bit,
Hmm.
do that whole thing,
Even
and
if
just,
you didn't consciously see it, you would have picked up on it otherwise. I'm listening.
what?
Hmm.
No, I'm saying, but I think that's kind of the signals that really kind of will naturally let me know,
Sure.
right? And those are the things that maybe I'm actually looking for. That's why all not to like go back on the approach thing, but 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 to go back on the approach thing, because
Mhm.
that makes it easier, because I'm seeing the signals, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as humans, we have these, we communicate more with our bodies than we do, verbally oftentimes.
Yeah.
Like, even while I'm sitting there talking, I'm moving my hands and shit.
Right. Me too. All the time. All
Yeah,
the time.
you know. So to me, there's like very real organic signs.
Hmm.
And I think because we've gotten so much into this digital hypermedia blase skippy bullshit, we've gotten away from like being true human beings. We
Hmm.
fucking forgot what that shit's about, man.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
that's my honest opinion, like how I feel about it. That's why I get the ick from all that dating shit and all that dating
Yeah.
talk. That's why it just gives me the ick.
Yeah. I mean, it's whack. Especially because 9 times out of 10, it's not really good. You're not really gonna like the person as much. Like that's just me talking, but
Just no,
you know,
and I agree with that. I agree with that shit.
it's like it's really hard to really like someone a lot, and I found that to always be the case.
I mean, the response at it, if the body language, eye contact's not there. That's what I mean. It's just like, dude, there's things that actually happen
Absolutely.
that really tell
And
you
it doesn't have to be the woman being like, "Yo, what's up with me and
what's,
you? What's good?
you know,
What you doing
or
tonight?"
or me going like, hey, let me flew you out.
Right?
Let me flew you out. You know what I mean?
It's always flu, no matter what. Even
Let
in
me
the
flew
present
you
tense,
out.
it'll always be flu.
Yeah, let me flew you out. Hey, real. Hey, hold it down for a minute. I'm gonna just run to the restroom real quick.
Yeah, take your time.
Okay. All right.
Mhm. And then through social media, or I should say through dating apps, there was a time where when I'd moved, and this was concurrent with that time where people were like, "Oh, try this and da, da, da." And I'm like, and meanwhile, I'm not asking them for any advice though. That's the whole kicker to the whole thing. I never asked any of these people for this unsolicited shit. And so cokehead husband girl, she's telling me this stuff, and she's trying to get me. There was a friend of mine who would be the last person I should have dated, then, now, ever, and she's trying to tell me that I should be looking at him as somebody I should date. So this if a lot of times what people are saying is acceptable or what people should think about, be open-minded, don't be so judgmental. That's not what's happening. But at the time you'll think about it like, oh, maybe I am being too judgmental, maybe I'm not opening myself up enough to folks, and but I think that's good because it ended up perfectly for me. Like, and I'm not saying it like in some bragging way, I'm just saying it all makes sense now. And sometimes the drum that people are walking to is it's literally just going to be different from somebody else's beat. The timeline specifically, like, girls were having sex and shit like 14 and 15. I was like, what? And so, and they were like, my friend lied to me about it. She's like, oh, she's a virgin. We're talking about it in freshman year. And I just assumed it was true because I was. I'm like, yeah. Found out she was lying. Had a whole list. So I'm like, wow, timelines are different. Very, very different. And to me, she was the more kind of normal behaving type of situation. I was not. I hadn't even kissed anybody at 15. Well, that was when I had my first kiss at 15. But before, so, earlier in 15, it wasn't. I'm like, wow, how do they close those gaps so quickly? So I think some people are just different when it comes to that. Some people don't need all that extra bonding too quickly for no reason, But I don't think in terms of being assertive, right? I think naturally I have a slightly assertive sort of like personality, but that does not translate in like approaching guys. And I'm going to use the word approach, right? So I definitely want to create a line between letting a guy know that you're interested and approaching. So for the folks who said that, for the guys who said that women should feel more comfortable approaching guys, what would this approach look like? So let's get into like the brass tacks of like actual, like what would they be doing? What would they be saying? So for example, Alonzo, you said the woman asked you about the line at McDonald's and your mother-in-law said that she was throwing herself at you, but you didn't notice. And your questions have all kind of gone along the line of that maybe you really didn't pick up on certain cues. So maybe for some people, something else might have been obvious and for other people might not be, right? So is that the woman not giving enough cues or is just not being picked up on properly? I'm not trying to diss you. I'm just asking the question. And also what for anybody and everybody, what would that approach look like? When Complex comes back, I'll ask him as well. Because what would you be saying? And I think that there's nothing wrong with the person doing that. But if someone's not comfortable doing that, I think it should be okay, especially if they're a woman. It should be okay to not feel comfortable approaching guys. Unless this approach thing just means something different from what I'm thinking. Wife School Podcast, do you I'll subscribe to your channel, but I'm curious. The title is kind of interesting. So is it like basically teaching women how to be better wives or teaching women how to become wives or all the above? What being a wife means? I'm really interested in that because well, for several reasons, but I've seen a lot of these like coaching types of situations, but from the men's side, I don't really see it on the other side towards the women. So it's interesting to me. How's Complex highlighting comments and he's not here? It's getting a little late for me. I'm actually kind of tired. Just got over what I think was the flu, but it felt like just a weird lingering cold. So maybe we'll wrap it up. But I am interested in hearing about what this approach would look like. Very curious. For some, if they don't find you attractive, they probably won't notice. For some, if they don't find you attractive, they probably won't notice. So if the guy, that's interesting. So Spawn, you're saying if the guy doesn't find the woman attractive, he might not notice those cues. Yeah, I think that's a very fair statement, which goes back to what I was saying about this is where the thought would come in. This is part of where the thought would come in, where the woman would think, well, if he was really that moved, he would say something, right? Exactly. But yeah, going back to the date, that date, that oh yeah, you should just be going out on dates and stuff like that. And this was actually off the heels of someone literally telling me, like saying, oh, I wrote a whole essay about this. You're being too stingy, and he like gestured with his like eyes and head to my lower body.
Yeah, what?
Why would he feel comfortable? Hey,
What the hell?
yeah. When I was in Ghana, and then and he just like we had known each other for a couple weeks, like you know, on set, but I didn't know him like that from to say some shit like that, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And so for him, that's exactly the way he should think. He should definitely think I'm being stingy with that lower body gesture, right? So it's all good, right? It doesn't mean that somebody else who I liked would have felt like that, right? But
dude, let me tell you something.
Hearing shit like this, you start thinking, what am I giving out that everyone's telling me this shit? You know what I mean?
Look,
Guys,
look, dude, I'm stingy with my shit. I used to have a shirt back in the day that said my sperm is worth millions.
I know that's right.
Yeah. No, seriously, dude. Like everybody used to trip out on that shirt. It just literally said it like on the drum across the chest. You know, but dude, I'm like, I was paranoid. I was fucking paranoid about getting a chick pregnant.
You said you're paranoid about.
I was paranoid about getting a chick pregnant.
As well, you should be. And what you said was so real, like getting scared straight early
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, I'm saying my homie, dude. Like when that shit happened to my homeboy, he shit, we was maybe just like 8 months out of high school.
Jeez.
Right. So we was still kicking it with, you know, like so, you know, our other homies, they was like seniors. We was out of school, right? So like sometimes during the day we was, you know, we was out of class, you know, my homie was taking college courses. I had started working. I just went right to work and I just started hustling. And I just remember, man, like when he told us, our jaws dropped.
Yeah.
It was just like, what? Like, damn. Like, dude, check it out. Like, so like when we was at my my older brother's funeral, right? My homeboy was there. And you know, we was catching up at the repast and stuff, and then he was just like, dude, you know, he's like, Molly, she's and I forgot, like, she's like 20, 21 or some shit.
Jeez.
And I was like, what the fuck, dude? Are you yo, I was like,
you're like, we're only 25.
Yo. Like, dude, like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, damn, like she's a whole adult and shit. So when you just kind of think back, like I'm telling you, man, like when that happened with him, a lot of the homies, they, you know, I ain't doing nothing. I ain't doing nothing.
That is
right?
so real, though.
Man. And so it was on some scared straight shit for
Absolutely.
me. Yeah.
I had a friend when I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I had a friend we met when I transferred high schools. We like kind of just clicked really early. She's a Leo as well. And I went to her house after school one day, and yo, right before we go in, she tells me that she has a son. And I'm like bugging out already on that. But hearing that and then walking in and seeing him in the crib, we were 16 at the time. She had him when she was 14 years old. And the dude was 21. He was in jail, not in prison. Not for that though.
We should have been. But...
Okay. And man, that was I cannot even express really properly the feeling that I felt. Like he was standing up in the crib, and like the house was so chaotic, and like it was too small for all those people. It was her mom's, and her grandmother, and the son and her son. And it was like, and she was such a, she had just gone through so much, like, and to know like that situation was always going to be like, oh man, she was just crazy.
Yeah. See,
and
I mean,
scared the fuck out of me.
And see, like that's the thing, man. It's like I don't know what it is about like this time we're in, where people just kind of like live life reckless. They just do shit and then think about it later.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas I think, at least for me, man, like the come up was different. I was trying to like avoid all the bullshit as much as I could. You know what I'm saying? So I was always slow to do shit.
And it's crazy for guys because like a woman can hijack your semen. Like, I mean, crazy, like weird, like things like that can't happen to women. I mean, guys can do weird stuff, but there's so many more strange things that can happen being a guy.
Yeah, and like just given, just I knew I didn't want to have any children until I was 35.
Mm-hmm.
That was firm. And I did just that, dude. Have my daughter when I was 35. But before then, anything prior to that, holy shit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So I think that's what it was too, man. Just a lot of conscious decisions on my part. Look, dude, like when I was doing the DJing and the music shit and I was out there, it was easy. It was super, super, super easy to do it. The homies was running through them left and right. Right. And then they was always asking my homies, well, what's up with Ulysses, right? And then they just be like, oh, that nigga picky. That's what they used to tell them, dude. That nigga picky, man.
That's a huge compliment.
Yeah.
So I was asking them meaning the audience, what I'm using the word approach in the hard definition of approach.
Yeah.
What would it look like? So and I said I would ask you as well. So I want to ask you, and I think Spawn answered it here. He says a good approach for him is the same for a woman, friendly. I have that thing over it. I can't see. Friendly.
Oh,
there you go. You have it up there.
Yeah.
Friendly with good conversation. That's simple. But Spawn. So does the woman like? I want to know like literally what the approach is like. So does she come up to you and just start conversing? Is that not weird?
Wait, who's doing it?
The woman. If the woman approaches, how does it look? Like, what does she do?
If a woman approaches?
Yes.
Let me see. Let me think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, all right. Now I had to get hip to this. I had to actually get hip to this. So if I'm with my daughter, right, and she'll see her hair, I'll have a woman who will come up and then compliment my daughter and her hair, right? So they'll see me, they'll see her, they'll go and compliment her hair, and she'll be, I'll be like, oh yeah, she's learning how to do it herself and all that kind of stuff, and so then they'll give me usually they'll have like a card or something. Well, oh, I do hair, right? I do hair, and then so like the last time that happened, the lady was like, well, here, just text me your number. I was like, okay. So I text her, and then I just said, I put Almeida hair, right? And then so she texts me back. Her name is Almeida. Yeah. And then it was just like, and then she started asking me about it, and then I kind of just let it be known. Well, it's just her and I, right? And yeah, it wasn't about her hair anymore.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So, sometimes it's kind of slick. Like in that way, it's kind of slick.
And here's what's funny: if it's not a romantic thing, I'd be really likely to do something like that. Like if I saw a guy and his daughter have beautiful hair, especially hair. Like if I see someone's hair and I'm moved to compliment it, I do. So like, but it wouldn't mean necessarily. It definitely wouldn't mean I was interested in. Like I wouldn't use that as the thing. And if I was interested in it that way, I probably wouldn't say anything.
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but like, yeah, and so I was just about to say what Spawn's saying. The other thing is two things. Is this right here, asking questions.
Asking questions, okay.
Yeah, they'll come out. So a way to kind of like.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
They'll approach me and ask me a question. Right, it could be about any damn.
I ask you a question. Are you being stingy with that? Sorry, I had to.
No.
Like,
like say you're at the grocery store or some shit, right? Just ask you a question about anything in the store.
It makes sense.
Like,
but
yeah,
if you're so obvious, it's like, oh look, she like. I guess it's so what though. Like the way I'm thinking of it is like that's so obvious. Like, oh, I'm asking
Well,
about the oranges, but I really like you. But so what? There's nothing wrong with that.
well,
That'd be
think about
okay.
it.
Yeah.
Think about it. Well, think about it like this, right? So,
No, I feel you, Spawn. That's exactly what I was thinking just now. He says the
but
same thing guys do. Y'all gotta get used to. Well, they
yeah,
got
yeah,
used to it. I ain't getting used to shit, but I feel you. Yeah.
yes, yes. Look, so no, it's very, but I'll tell you, it's actually quite welcome, right? Because it'll be something like a perfect example. Usually, it's gonna be something adjacent to a product like of similar interest. So, um, I could think about a time like so. For example, my daughter wants Nutella. She likes Nutella.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, you go and get some Nutella, and she might say, is there any difference between that and like they'll have like the off brand? Have you ever tried this? You know, it'll be some sort of like basic
Like
on.
if she's standing next to you in the aisle or something.
Yeah, yeah, and like, oh, he's looking at Nutella, and let me ask him about that, right? To get a conversation, or just you know what I mean. Now, the second, that's what the whole question asking thing is. It usually is something like that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, what can happen from there? And this is usually what happens with me. I get what the hell? Live
What?
stream is canceled.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Let's see a comment. What the hell is that?
Oh, I see
Loading.
it.
Yeah, I don't know what
It
that's
has
about.
a thumbs up sign. What? I think that's supposed to be like a trolling joke or something.
Yeah, maybe live stream is canceled. Are we making too much sense with that? I'm trying to get
Live stream
the
is canceled. Great job.
great job, right?
I
Like
approve.
so. Voice. I get a lot of compliments on my voice. That's honestly what does it a lot for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what does it a lot for me, honestly. I get complimented on my voice a lot.
Yeah.
That's usually what it is a compliment, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So um that's always a good thing to have something to be complimented on,
True.
you know. So it's not so that and that's what I mean. I would talk about the organic shit. It's like it's not so um fucking like like primates out in the woods type shit.
So you
Where
guys are saying the woman should just do a little something, and then the guy can be all like, "So let's exchange math and all that stuff," right?
yeah, because look, dude, it's like if you don't, you get this socially awkward situation you have now, where you know damn near everything a man does, depending on the woman, is a fucking threat.
What do you mean?
No, just like how women think like a dude like approaching a woman or something would be like there's some creep level to it, or there's some thing now where it's just like I only want you to approach me if I'm attracted to you, and it's like, well, how the fuck does anyone know that?
Right, right,
I mean, for all I know, you could be into chicks.
right.
The way this shit goes nowadays, right? You see, so there's like it's almost that's what I'm saying, dude. It's almost as if it's like people have been kind of socially engineered to function non-organically,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
right? To the point where everybody's dumbfounded on like organic shit now.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's completely fucking flipped. So if what like Swan or Alonzo we're suggesting is that, hey, well, a chick can say something too, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not in like that masculine sense where it's just like yo,
Right, 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 right.
let
Like,
me flew you out. You know what I
Lucy,
mean?
right.
Like, yeah, you don't pull up on a nigga like, hey, yo, let me flew you out. You know what I'm saying? You know, when
That
no,
sounds
but like
crazy.
the question thing, for example, right?
Yeah.
That's something simple a woman can do. The question, it's like that. You see a guy at the store, he's looking at some, ask him like, do you make this with that, or come up with a question and then get into a conversation and watch where the fuck he takes it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, there's like I said, there's a give and a take. It's a push, a pull.
Makes sense. Yeah.
There's two here interacting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's all.
Makes a lot of sense. It does.
See, I only really need hits if you need questions. Bilingual contact. Yeah, hints. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
need hints if you come ask me a question. Good body language and eye contact. I know off rip.
That's what I'm saying. It's real simple.
Mm-hmm.
That's it, man. Dude, like, come on, man. Chick walks up to you and with tits perked up. Come on.
Some guy said that this was some, I don't know where this was, but I didn't know who the person was who made the comment, but it was kind of like manosphere type rhetoric. And he said that wait, let me try to remember what was it he said. That that guys really want something about, they may say something, but they really want women like Sexy Red, you know, that rapper.
Oh God, dude! Like, I can't. I
I was
fucking
like,
hate.
really? The one who looks like a guy? Like, you picked the worst example. Like, I mean, if he was trying to say raunchy and everything, then it would have been a better argument. But using her as an example was a little bit confusing.
Dude, I can't stand when they go. You know, dudes, they really want this. If they really want it, they'll go get it, dumbass.
But that means that he really wants that and likes that better,
That's
right? So
projection.
why is he trying to speak for everybody? Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's like, no, motherfucker, you want that, and what you want.
Most guys I know find her very unattractive.
Dude, I find the sores on her lips highly unattractive.
Ew, I didn't even know she had all that.
Dude, like,
Jeez.
she's like a walking petri dish.
Yeah. Not a whole ecosystem.
Like
yeah,
a whole like you see like those terrariums.
Yeah,
It's like a whole fucking
terrarium.
It's like a whole world inside of a glass bowl. Like
I
a
bet you
whole.
that's the first time she's ever gotten called a terrarium.
Yo,
Oh, man.
I mean, she is like literally the definition of disgusting.
Yes, the worst. They say she
Ugh.
looks like Young Thug. She does.
Wait, what?
People say she looks like Young Thug, the rapper, and I'm like, she does.
Young Thug. I don't even know what that dude looks like. He looks like a chick.
Like her.
Wait, no, I'm saying which one? Does he look like the chick or does she look like the dude?
Both. But yeah, so, and I do think that there is some sort of I think those guys who have that Madonna whore complex issue say stuff like that. Because it's like, who are these people who are just only like this and only like that? Like that's not real. Like
or like you go and get this, but you really want that. I'm like, dude, yuck. Just
right.
Ugh.
That's the same type of dude who like is married and sleeps with prostitutes and stuff. Like something wrong with that. Seriously.
Like you got it in your bed and then you go pay to get it from a chick who gives it to him, and then you go back and get into bed with the woman you already got.
See, that's the part right there.
Understand that shit.
That's what I'm talking about. Like that's the part right there that really bugs me out about cheating. It's like you literally just lying to, you're literally just laying to somebody, you're just lying because it's already an understood thing that that's not supposed to be done. So it's lying once it's done, and just looking the person in the face like that's sociopathic.
Well, you know, I saw some video, and it was, you know, this chick was talking about how women have a switch, right? And it's kind of like, you know, a switch for sex or what have you, right? And then, you know, men get into like these sexless marriages, and then it's kind of like, all right, well, what do you do, right? I'm like, leave her, just get a divorce. Pack it in.
Wait, I don't understand. What happened? What's the switch? What happened with the switch?
She was saying that, like, you know, women have this switch, and like, you know, they'll oftentimes they'll use this switch on their husbands. And she was just talking about it's the sex switch, and that's how, you know, they turn the switch off, and then that's how the whole sex marriage thing happens. And so
is that person saying they're doing that as some sort of control tactic, or that they just are no longer?
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Because she was saying that like she herself had done that before. She did that to her husband, right? So this was like her saying what it is and saying, I know what this is what it is because I did it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it's like, in the comments, right, that video and stuff, it's like, man, it's all these dudes, dude, like in like sexless marriages. This is like the story of my marriage, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
That's bad.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like, you know, it kind of speaks to like how the relationship kind of formed and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I mean, because let me tell you something, man. Like, I don't see. Look, I had when I was with my wife, we fucked all the time. I don't understand. Like, I had more sex when I was married than at any other time in my life when I've been single. It's like everything that those guys are going through is the opposite for me.
Right, that makes more sense.
It makes more sense, doesn't it?
Of course.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, man, you have to then look back at the like how that relationship came together, right? Was it one of those things where it was one of those like she's just ended up settling for a guy, or went ahead just said, all right, let me go ahead and just do this now, and because I think that's what a lot of women fear, you know.
What you mean, like, so that meaning that that's how they are not attracted anymore to their partner? You mean?
Yeah, like they pick a guy because they're not sexually attracted to him and all this type of stuff, but he has all these other qualities, right? He's a good guy. I'll learn to love him. Blase,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
right? And then that usually leads into the sexless marriage shit.
Sure.
You know
I
what
think
I'm
that's
saying?
part of it. I think sometimes though the husbands turn off their wives.
I mean, it's either the husbands turn off their wives or there's some other motherfuckers turning her on, right? And
I feel like the only way that could happen though, it's for real,
not
is if he's
I'm
he's
sorry, go ahead.
turning her off first. Because she married him, right? So it's like,
Yeah, but
there's,
see,
like,
sometimes
it's the
women
open
get married to
door.
men that they're not like they don't turn them on like that. It's seriously, dude. Like, yeah, that's like one of the biggest fears of marriage that like men have is that like they're marrying the dude that they don't really want to be with. That's
Interesting.
that's really what happens. Think
That's
about it,
bugged
dude.
out. Wow.
Well, because we do like, well, look, man, women are not and I'm not, this is just a general statement, right?
Mhm.
They're not up front. They don't, they don't talk with full transparency with like their partners and stuff about maybe who they dealt with in the past,
Mhm.
right? See, so like, the one thing a man never wants to be is the dude that a chick settled for.
Mhm.
Okay, if you become that, then yeah, you're in for some shit. Okay, it just kind of is what it is. They have, I don't know, they have the manosphere term for it. I'm just calling it what it is, right?
What's the manosphere term for it?
I don't know. They call it something. They call that shit something. What do they call it? Um, uh,
Not friendly.
what you said is not what?
Not friendly.
Not friendly. No, it's your what do they call it? Beta bucks, or I don't know what that shit is, but basically, you're the dude that she settled for, right? So you're not gonna get her best. You're not gonna get her best in the bedroom. You're not gonna get her best in terms of feminine. She settled for you, basically. So I don't know. As a guy, you kind of don't want to be in that position.
It's interesting that you're saying that. Like, it makes sense, but I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of men's behaviors, especially like the stereotypes. I feel like some men are very okay with that. Like, as long as they get something, they don't even care if you think they're the best, as long as they get something.
But that's
sometimes
what leads to that shit, though.
You mean when she finally breaks down and goes with that guy?
Well, no, I'm saying that's what leads to that. Like, if you kind of have, how do I say this? So if you have that sort of like that stance, right, where it's kind of like, oh man, I'm so lucky to be with her type shit. You know what I'm saying? That is like, that's like,
That
it's a
turns her
turn-off.
into not being interesting. Well, if she doesn't like him that much to begin with, then
Think about it.
it's already the same thing. But if a guy feels that way about his woman, like not that he's downplaying himself, but if he feels lucky to be with her, I don't think that's something that would be a turn off at all. I think that should be openly communicated. I think everyone should feel like that person who they're with is lucky to, however that goes. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean, you want to ideally, right? Because look, like what you want is reciprocity in a relationship, right?
Of course.
I mean, that's really, if we were to really kind of, make it plain, you want shit to be reciprocated. You don't want shit to be one sided. Like I always hear a bunch of like crazy shit. Like I said, the podcast stuff. I'll be like, man, a lot of this shit seems like a fucking psyop to me, almost.
Yeah. I
Like
mean,
like
that
some
might
some
be.
like legit agents out here, and the algorithm is pumping like this different waveform, right? Like where people like listen to it and then it reprograms their brain on how to like interact with people, and then they go out into the real world and do it. And
Mm-hmm.
I think there's like some psyop level shit going on with it because it's counterintuitive, right? Just the laws of nature. Nature seeks balance,
Uh-huh.
right? Nature always seeks balance, and one way that happens is through a reciprocal process,
True.
okay, of like death and rebirth,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? And not only that, you also have biofeedback, predator prey,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know what I'm saying? It's like you have fires that basically serve as the haircut that deforests, right? And then when the rains come in the winter, everything gets replenished,
Mm-hmm.
right? The ash serves as nitrogen for the soil to
Mm-hmm.
enrich in it, right? For the new sproutlings and shit. So nature does like just watch nature in action, dude. It's like there's no confusion.
Yeah,
It's only when we start fucking around talking about humans.
it's true.
Right? It's only when humans get the bright idea to like, well, let me figure out a new way to fuck some shit up. Yeah, let's see what we can come up with today,
Mm-hmm. Hi, Jackie.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like shit, man. It's crazy. And that's the reason why it's like I said oftentimes I would just like just keep to myself and watch and observe people. I need to see who the fuck out here has got a level head on and who's literally a zombie out here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the last thing you want to do is engage with a zombie chick or a zombie dude.
Absolutely.
Nah, man, I take the shit seriously. I ain't quick to like just be jumping in the sack with people and all that. That's man,
That's really the only way it should be.
damn, there's more to life.
Yeah, like you don't go around and just let somebody put their fingers in your French fries and just eat them, right? Like, so I mean, why are we going around? You know?
You leave the keys to your car on the hood. Go ahead, take it. Make sure you bring it back.
Exactly. Let's hope nothing happens. Like, nah.
Uh-uh.
But yo, I'm still recuperating, so
Oh, I'm
I
saying
kind of got
we
away
kind
from
of yeah, we're like at 2.5. I think we're good. Just kind of going
It
through
didn't
these
even
last
seem like that long.
I know, huh?
It really didn't. It didn't seem that long at all.
Huh.
Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year and beyond. Happy New Year and beyond to everyone else. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was it's interesting how people kind of obsess over this idea of beginning and end with the new year, even though like it's just so arbitrary, right? Like, because
Mhm.
the end of what, right? It's a calendar, but and we can see by like seasonal stuff that things are not totally according to our calendar and haven't been. It's always fluctuating, but I feel like there's so much dysfunction. It's just so bugged out. Like I was just like jumping around looking at some stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, damn, like people are really taking the end of the year kind of hard. Like
I
they
swear
don't
to
even feel.
God, man. Like you're
Gee,
going out with a whole like on a whole rager, dude.
man, it's a little bit, it's a little much,
Yeah.
especially with the amount of like familial camaraderie that you see people have. It's like, yo, you don't know those people. Like it's really, really bugged out. But I don't know. I'm not really into the whole New Year's resolution things. I feel like I'm making resolutions on some evolving basis all the time. So it just seems a little strange. And I like to celebrate the solar and lunar New Year.
Yeah,
Just
yeah. I
like
mean,
so.
because there's multiple calendars, right? And I think
Mhm.
you know, no, I think
Hi,
that was like
yeah, I know, right?
New Year, New Year, New Me.
They on their hot girl New Year shit. We got time for this shit.
No, I think I think that the time perception thing, right? Like the various calendars that we either do or don't observe, right, determines how we perceive time. So I think like acknowledging various, lunar, solar, there's various calendars, things to acknowledge and observe, different cycles of time and shit. It'll give you your own perception, changes your own perception of time. That's what I wanted to say.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah, like,
okay,
just
yeah, that's right,
wild
Jackie.
out and then like I'm just gonna do better because it's December. Like
I
that's
know,
a
right?
really toxic way to think. But yeah, people are bugging out. It's like I don't know. I think like this whole enmeshment with people on YouTube is getting a little strange for me.
Yeah, a little strange for some change. Jackie, you say that you've experienced that before. She's like,
No,
yeah,
people think,
you
yeah,
throw your leg over after, and all that. I'm like,
when
yeah,
it's 3:45 in the morning and the window's open, it's very specific. No, but she's right though.
yep, yep. All right, we're gonna go ahead and shut it down. Okay, so yeah, I guess we won't be back until the new year.
That's right.
All right, so this is the last Sapio live stream of 2023.
And we're gonna come back being new people. It's gonna be a
And
new
we're
year.
gonna come back. We have a
Okay.
resolution for 2024: be stronger, better, faster,
Right. Exclamation mark
more Sapio.
and all that.
All
All right.
right. All
Always
right,
a
y'all. Well,
pleasure.
look, hey, we're gonna be peace up out of here. Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah.
Hit the like button if you like this live stream, sub if you haven't, and we'll
Yeah,
catch
it's
you guys
like
in.
fucking we only have 6 likes. Jeez.
It has to be more than 6.
We have more than
Really?
6 people in the chat. Why you lying?
Oh man. Oh, that's horrible. Okay, well, we're gonna have a resolution in 2024 to get more likes. All right. All right. We see y'all next year. Peace.
All right, later.